looking at one right now who was a freshman in high school when she first came forward. And now she's almost ready to graduate college. So I commend you. No, I don't, actually. I can't commend you for doing the right thing after 8 years, but I hope that you do the right thing.
Valerie, thank you for your remarks. We'll next hear from Melissa Hudes, followed by Angelica Martinez-McGee. Melissa, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Melissa, please proceed.
Thank you. Good morning. Here we are. And, you know, this meeting got moved virtual. We've had every bump in the road to get to this morning. And I just want to remind everybody there's two traumas here. There's the trauma that is perpetuated by the perpetrator, and then there's the trauma of dealing with the fact that MSU has continued to fail to do the right thing. I am pleased that we are at this moment. I hope that MSU's Board of Trustees choose to act to represent the survivors rather than in the best interest of the university. You know, I just am going to take a moment of silence just for ask everyone to just pause and think about what these sisters have been through to get to this point. What's about to happen today for me is at least half my healing journey. This is a very significant moment. It is difficult to come up here and continue to watch things go wrong at MSU. If these documents aren't released, if we don't have transparency, if we can't trust the Board of Trustees, then what was the point of everything that we've been through as sisters? What was the point?
Melissa, thank you for your comments. I believe Angelica Martinez-McGee is not with us, but Danielle Moore has joined. So we'll go back to Danielle. Danielle, can you hear me? Danielle, good morning.
Hello?
Oh, Danielle, good morning. We will begin. Please proceed with your remarks.
Okay. My name is Danielle Moore. Like you said, I am one of the sister survivors. Again, I'm coming to you to ask you to release the documents unredacted. Again, by releasing the documents, MSU will fulfill the moral and ethical obligation it has to us survivors. Also want to remind you to make no mistake, if this institution, if MSU was actually a person, they would be in prison for the next 20 years and not to be trusted in regards to the Nassar case. To put it in other words, would anyone now trust Larry Nassar to watch over their children or the institution that enabled him to do so? I don't think so. So by releasing these documents, this is a way for MSU to show that they are no longer that institution that enabled Nassar. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Sue Moore. So Sue, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
We can, Sue. Good morning, and please proceed with your remarks.
Okay. I'm the mother of a sister survivor. My daughter, as well as 500 other sister survivors, were assaulted over and over again for many years. We need to know why this happened so it never happens again. If your child was assaulted, wouldn't you want to know? Release the documents. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. I believe Angelica still has not joined us, so Interim President Woodruff, that concludes public comment on items that are germane to the agenda.
Thank you, Board Secretary Fletcher. I now call upon Vice President for Research and Innovation, Doug Gage, to present the gift, grant, and contract report. Vice President Gage.
Good morning. Chairperson Vassar, members of the Board of Trustees, I request approval of the awards found in the gift, grant, and contract report. The report period is August 10th, 2023 through November 13th, 2023. The total value for this period is $306,308,890.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the gift, grant, and contract report? Is there a second?
Support.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The gift, grant, and contract report is approved. I now call upon Vice President for Research and Innovation, Doug Gage, to introduce the research presentation. Vice President Gage.
Thank you. It's always my pleasure to highlight the real excellence of MSU's faculty, staff, and students in these events. And today I have the pleasure of introducing our research presenter, Federica Brandizzi. She is a University Distinguished Professor, MSU Research Foundation Professor, and she joined MSU in 2006 as an Associate Professor in the MSU DOE Plant Research Lab. She currently leads research on the role of endomembranes, or membranes within the cell, in plant growth, productivity, and stress response on Earth, and as you'll learn, recently in space. Since 2020, she has also served as the Science Director of the Department of Energy Great Lakes Bioenergy Research Center, one of our most successful research programs. Dr. Brandizzi's research has been supported by the NIH, NSF, DOE, and NSF since her arrival, as well as support from the MSU Research Foundation and the Michigan Translational Research and Commercialization Award. And she's developed an exciting research portfolio in the basic and applied sciences, and she brings in about $2 million for her lab every year. The breadth of Dr. Brandizzi's expertise is sought after by national and international funding agencies, including the National Institutes of Health, for which she served on the study section of the membrane biology and protein processing biology for a 6-year term. That's not a common role for the typical plant scientist, I might add. Dr. Brandizzi is also the senior editor of the Plant Journal, one of the leading scientific journals in the plant sciences. And as exemplified by her over 150 peer-reviewed articles since joining MSU, Dr. Brandizzi is efficient in building and directing effective and diverse research plans, identifying exciting new research frontiers, and managing very large budgets. In 2018, she was elected to the rank of Fellow by the American Association for the Advancement of Science. Dr. Brandizzi completed her PhD in cell and molecular biology at the University of Rome Tor Vergata in 1997. After completing her PhD, she conducted 2 postdoctoral research experiences at Oxford in the UK. She worked on gene regulation and endomembranes in plant cells. In 2003, before joining MSU, she accepted a prestigious Canada Research Chair to establish her first independent lab at the University of Saskatchewan in Canada. Please welcome Federica Brandizzi. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gage, for the beautiful introduction, and thank you all for being here today. It's my honor to be here, and I'm really excited to show you some of the research that is ongoing in my lab. So I will start by sharing my presentation with you all. And I would like to start by saying that when I joined MSU 17 years ago, I came to the realization that I could play a role in solving one of the biggest problems that faces mankind today. And that is the problem of how to sustain our growing population with a steep rise in demand for food, energy, materials for constructions, and medicines. So what we know is that, I'd like to go to the next slide. Yes, what we know is that our population is projected to rise to 9.6 billion by 2050. And we also know, though, that plants are the primary providers for food, green energy, and sustainable biomaterials that are necessary for mankind. And as such, plants can offer realistic solution to the problems that are put at hand. But as you can see from these slides, at the current rate of production, our crops cannot fulfill the necessity of our growing population. The crop productivity is not going to be sufficient. And this is aggravated by the current climate change situation that impairs crop productivity. Now, the good news is that there are solutions, and these are offered by fundamental research in plant biology, like the one that is done at MSU, and that my lab is contributing to. So, who am I? I'm a plant cell biologist, and for the last 3 decades, I've been working on the plant secretory pathway. So the secretory pathway is a set of organelles that you see in this diagram on the left, and is highly conserved in plants, humans, and also unicellular organisms like yeast. And the secretory pathway works as a conveyor belt to produce, synthesize, assemble, and deliver proteins, essential fats, and also sugars to the cell and to the rest of the organism. Therefore, the secretory pathway essentially builds an organism. Now, when we look at how the organelles of the secretory pathway look like in a cell, I want to show you these video clips that we took thanks to the powerful microscopes that MSU provides for researchers like me. So now we're looking at organelles that are alive inside the epidermal cells of a plant. So as you can see, there is so much life, and these organelles, the endoplasmic reticulum, the Golgi apparatus, and the vacuole, make part of this chain of organelles of the secretory pathway that I was talking to you about. So it's beautiful to see so much life, and it's also beautiful to see that when we eat our salad, this is the kind of energy and life that we're eating. So just keep this in mind, sometimes at lunch or dinner today. So now, through my career, I have come to appreciate the activities of the organelles of the secretory pathway can be modulated, but can also be bettered to become more productive. If the plant secretory pathway is improved, then crops become more productive. And this is achievable if we identify and understand the key players that operate in this pathway, and then we translate our findings to crops. And this is what my lab does. So we move our discoveries from the subcellular level that I'm showing here today to the field. Now, the motivation of my research is fueled by a sense of urgency and responsibility. As a mother, I want to give my 3 children a better world than what I found and change the direction of where it is going. I want it to go in the positive direction, not negative. And I know that we are also running out of time. So I want to do this now while I'm at MSU, because thanks to MSU, I have the support of an incredible team of researchers, generous funding bodies, and the awesome MSU leadership. So I strongly believe that together at MSU, we can better this planet. Now, enough about me. Let's talk really briefly about 2-3 examples of the research that is ongoing in my lab. So, and what do we do from the bench to the field? So we look at organelle morphology. We want to understand how these secretory organelles establish and maintain their identity, but also how they work together to make sure that the plant gets the right nutrients to transform then in the biomolecules that the secretory pathway produces. Among these, there are many antimicrobial compounds, and we can understand how the secretory pathway not only synthesize them, but also deliver them outside of the cell, where pathogens attack the cell and the plants need to defend itself. But also, we're studying how we can potentiate the secretory pathway to produce precursors for biofuels and bioproducts, and how the secretory pathway can help us understand humans for many of the conserved mechanisms that exist between plants and humans, including how cells respond to stress. And life here on Earth is fantastic, but we need space. We need to move to the next frontiers, and these are extracellular surfaces, and this is what my lab does. We help, we work with NASA to understand how we can take plants to space and colonize new surfaces. Now, we work with model organisms like Arabidopsis and Brachypodium because they're easier to work, then translate our findings to crops like sorghum, alfalfa, soybean, and also poplar. So we have a very healthy portfolio of studies and research. So just a couple of examples of what we're doing more practically. So we know that plant cells are surrounded by a very stiff cell wall that gives the plant its structure. This cell wall is made mainly of carbohydrates, and the carbohydrates are densely packed with each other. So a few years ago, we discovered that a protein from cotton that we called a CGR, called cotton Golgi related protein, could be put into Arabidopsis, our model plant species, and overproduce, so reaching limits that the cell normally does not produce at the level that the cells do not usually produce. And so what we have here is an Arabidopsis plant, a wild type, and these are transgenics that overexpress the CGR protein. And you can appreciate that these plants are bigger. This is important. It's an important achievement because we know that land is limited and we need to use land the best we can. So we have to make plants that are bigger, but also they have better quality. And I'll get back to this in a second. So we translated our finding, our trait for biomass increase to poplar, and we found out that the stem of poplar, transgenic poplar that overexpress this protein are bigger than wild type. But we also found, and this is very important too, that by introducing this gene in plants, we can increase their digestibility. And this is important because in downstream applications, for example, in the biofuel arena, it's very important to use enzymes that can free sugars from the cell wall. And then these sugars will be fermented by microbes to produce biofuels and bioproducts. So if we make the cell wall more digestible, so we need less enzymes to convert the biomass into sugars that we can utilize. And so the trait that we put not only enlarged the cell wall to make the plants bigger, also allowed better permeability by enzymes. And this is a trait that we're trying to understand for its impact into feed for animals. If the feed is more digestible, it's likely that feedstock will be able to digest the food in their rumen and therefore benefit for their health. Now, talking about health, something, and if you had breakfast this morning with cereals, I hope you did because it's very good for you. There is a sugar that we work in our lab that is called mixed linkage glucan. This is soluble fiber, and it is produced in cereals, mainly in grasses. And we discovered in our lab that is produced by the cellulose synthase like F enzyme. And we demonstrated that this enzyme is produced in the Golgi of sorghum plants. And we thought, okay, maybe we can produce even more if we overexpress, if we overproduce this enzyme. And maybe it was an approach that was a bit, say, naive, because when we tried, we actually found out that the plants suffer. And I can go in the scientific explanation for that, but essentially we found out that our approach, just straight overexpression, was not sufficient. And this is not only us, this is a multi-million-dollar industry, so many other scientists are on the same case. Well, we actually came out with quite an, I would say, clever approach to overexpress this protein at the time that the plant would not suffer from its overproduction. And so we were successful in producing sorghum transgenics that both in the greenhouse, but also in the field, can now overproduce this very important sugar. Now, enough about Earth. Let's move to space. So we've been working for years with NASA, trying to understand how we can improve plants' life in space. This is very important. For many years, NASA and many other space agencies around the world have been working towards establishing life on the International Space Station. And efforts that we contributed to led to putting seedlings into the International Space Station. And I would say with variable success. Just to give you an example, these are our seedlings brought to space. You can see that they are transparent, sick, and not really the best plants, and this is our control on Earth. So there is still some work to do, but it is promising. We know now how plants respond to space, and this has led to the next step in our endeavor to move to space. And we were really fortunate to be given the opportunity to participate to the Artemis mission, which is the first step towards Mars. Essentially, we're moving from the International Space Station that will be soon decommissioned to the moon, and then from the moon to Mars. So if we want to colonize these very important surfaces, we need to learn how plants can survive the flight, but also can they live on these surfaces. So one way to do it is to make sure that plants have enough of the nutrients that they need for the travel. And so we've been working with NASA by using a germplasm, so seeds, they have an enhanced level of amino acids. Amino acids are the precursors for peptides and then proteins. And we used a technology that we developed here at MSU that some genotypes, some backgrounds of Arabidopsis plants have more of certain type of amino acids that stimulate growth. So we flew seeds with Artemis 1, the first of the, I believe 5 missions that will go eventually to Mars, to seeds that have enhanced levels of the amino acids that make not only plants bigger, but also more equipped with essential amino acids that will allow them to grow. And we were successful in sending seeds to space. They came back, and as you can see here, they're germinating on our media in the lab, and they look healthy. And preliminary results in our lab indicate that these plants are doing better than the control when returned to flight. And so by providing them with more nutrients, we are fortifying them to resist space travel. So with this, I would like to conclude, and I would like to thank the team that's supporting me in the lab here at the Plant Research Lab, of course, all the funding bodies, and you for your attention and support. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And I should note that it's auspicious that this lecture is on the eve of the 150th anniversary of our Beal Gardens and the oldest experiment on Earth. And Professor Brandisi, I believe Professor Beal and Professor Bailey would be very proud of you and their legacy in your work. And I think we should all thank our Board of Trustees for their investments in our world and universe leading investments in plant science. And I also want to thank you very much for your urgency and the responsibility that you outlined. And on behalf of MSU and the world's children, thank you for your work. We really appreciate it. Trustees, any comments? I think we have a lot of applause. And so with that, we will now move on to our committee reports and other items. So I call now upon Trustee Rima Vassar, who will present the committee.
Interim President, I think we have to do the personnel action and information items.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Let me now call upon Interim Provost Yaitsko to present the personnel actions and information reports. Provost Yaitsko.
Thank you, President Woodruff. Trustees, I present for approval the items on the December 2023 list of personnel actions. I present for approval the following tenured faculty appointments. Alexandra Skirich, PhD, Associate Professor, Biochemistry and Molecular Biology, CNS, with tenure effective January 1st, 2024. Minami Yoda, PhD, Chairperson and Red Cedar Distinguished Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, with tenure effective November 1, 2023. Rui Yong Wang, PhD, Professor, Department of Chemical Engineering and Materials Science, with tenure effective January 1, 2024. Kevin McGraw, PhD, Chairperson and Professor, Department of Integrative Biology, with tenure effective May 16, 2024. James Shepard, PhD, Associate Professor, Department of Chemistry, with tenure effective January 1st, 2024. Nicole Becker, PhD, Associate Professor, Department of Chemistry, with tenure effective January 1st, 2024.
Thank you very much.
I still have a few more to come. Thank you. And I present for approval the following promotion and tenure action, which was delayed last spring, recommended by the department chairpersons and school directors, the deans, and the provost in accordance with the tenure rules. The following promotion includes the award of tenure and is recommended to be effective January 1, 2024. Jennifer Carrera, promotion to Associate Professor with tenure, Department of Sociology. And I present for approval the following appointments. I'm pleased to recommend Michael Sant'Ambrosio, JD, Senior Associate Dean, Juris Doctorate Programs, for a change in title to Interim Dean, College of Law, effective January 8th, 2024. I'm pleased to recommend Alan Shaw, PhD, Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs and Services, Student Development and Learning Administration, for an additional title of Dean of Students, Student Life and Engagement, effective December 15th, 2023. And I'm pleased to recommend Richard Zernecki, BS, Associate Vice President for Information Technology and Associate Chief Information Officer, MSU IT Office and the ACIO, for a change in title to Interim Chief Information Officer and Director, Department of IT Services, VP and CIO, effective December 2, 2023. I'm pleased to recommend Thomas Glasmacher, PhD, Director of EFRIB, the Facility of Rare Isotope Beams, for an additional title of Interim Executive Vice President for Administration, effective December 2, 2023. The action includes the recommendation of Jonathan Smith, Head Football Coach, Department of Intercollegiate Athletics, subject to contract, effective November 25, 2023, through January 31, 2031. And I'm pleased to recommend Joyce DeYoung, DO, Dean of the College of Osteopathic Medicine and Professor, Department of Radiology, with tenure, effective February 5, 2024. I present for approval the following personnel actions. It is recommended that the title of Senior Vice President for Government Relations be changed to Vice President for Government Relations, and that all applicable policy documents be revised to reflect change in title, effective November 27, 2023. I'm also pleased to recommend Katie John, MPA, Associate Vice President, Government Relations, for a change in title to Interim Vice President, Government Relations, effective November 27, 2023. Also included in your materials are information reports for academic personnel actions. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, Provost Yatsko. Is there a motion to approve the personnel actions?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? The personnel actions are approved. We'll now move to the committee reports and other items requiring board approval. Trustee Rima Vassar will now present the Committee on Budget and Finance report. Trustee Vassar?
Good morning. Let me find my, thank you. Oh my. One second. Okay, just it was it got a little loud, so I just wanted to make sure that we continued. Good morning. As chairperson of the Trustee Committee on Budget and Finance, I move that the Board of Trustees hereby adopts Vision 2050, an integrated facilities and land use plan for MSU and revisions to the university zoning ordinance as included in attachment A hereto.
Thank you. Is there support for the motion?
Support.
Any discussion?
I think that we have Barb Krantz and smooth voice Steve Troost are available for discussion.
Barb, are you there?
I'm here now. Sorry about that. So good morning. On behalf of myself and Steve Troost, we wish to thank the Board of Trustees for their involvement throughout the nearly 2-year process that has led us here today for action to adopt the Vision 2050 plan. The planning process was structured for synchronous and asynchronous community engagement that resulted in significant and broad engagement that included students, faculty, staff, alumni, neighbors, and campus leaders, including the Board of Trustees. This community engagement was a cornerstone of the planning process. The Vision 2050 includes planning principles and recommendations that are rooted in the MSU strategic plan themes. These planning principles provide the foundation of the plan and include empower a Spartans United mindset, advance excellence in teaching, learning, and research, foster connectivity, engagement, and institutional identity, cultivate a living learning ecosystem, and promote stewardship of our resources and commitment to a sustainable and resilient future. With that, I'll turn it over to Steve Troost for some additional highlights.
Next slide, please. With some 30,000 acres of land across the state, 30 major ag bio research stations, and an extension presence in every county, MSU provides cutting-edge teaching, research, and outreach services truly for a global impact. We saw that with Dr. Brandesi's presentation. And these resources are strategic assets that support the university's land grant mission and community-based transformative research. Criteria to assess disposition of existing land holdings and acquisition of new land should center on and support academic success, research potential, outreach opportunities, strategic collaborations, and cultural resource stewardships. Next slide. Here in East Lansing and across the state, our goal is to leverage the highest and best use of our facilities and land resources. Understanding that a significant amount of the research conducted by ag bio research scientists takes place on the East Lansing campus, the plan strongly advocates for the preservation of the agricultural district. a unique and contiguous platform that includes both land and 18 teaching and research units. In addition, the plan calls for the preservation and enhancement of the campus natural areas with over 700 acres devoted to teaching, research, and outreach. Both of these are very unique assets for the university that help to recruit, retain talented faculty, staff, and students. Last slide, please. The illustrative framework plan shows an ideal organizational strategy that university leadership can use to properly locate new facilities and adjust operational infrastructure over time. An important attribute of the campus plan is that it serves to connect people, ideas, and community. A well-thought-out framework helps ensure a welcoming and collaborative environment to support our academic research and outreach endeavors. Properly leveraging our facilities and land assets across the state will position the university for even greater success as the nation's not just pioneer, but premier land-grant university. Materials will be uploaded to the website campusplan.msu.edu. And again, on behalf of Barb and I, we want to thank the larger Spartan community for their engagement over this nearly 2-year journey, and happy holidays to all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you to each of you. Trustees, we have a properly moved motion. It has been seconded. I now call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you very much.
Next, as chairperson of the Trustee Committee on Budget and Finance, I move that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the administration to purchase approximately 260 acres of land located in Onondaga, Michigan, to support the Dairy Cattle Teaching and Research Center upon such terms and conditions as may be acceptable to the president or the president's designee.
Thank you very much. Is there support?
Support.
Any discussion?
I believe that we have George Smith available for discussion. There he is.
Well, thank you very much, Trustee Vassar. I've had the pleasure of sharing with the Board of Trustees previously the programmatic vision and an anticipated impact of the capital investment in a new dairy teaching and research facility on South Campus. And we were grateful for the board's approval to initiate construction that happened at the October 27th meeting. As we move forward with this transformational project, we will continue to look for strategies to enhance operational efficiency and our ability to deliver on our teaching, research, and outreach mission, and further maximize return on investment to Michigan State University, our agricultural community, and the state of Michigan who have invested in this foundational project. So that plan for the new facility calls for almost tripling the number of animals. And as you triple the number of animals, you also triple the amount of feed required to sort of support those animals and the teaching and research mission. We have a very, very solid operational plan and process already, but that's heavily dependent upon purchasing feed from outside resources. And as you travel through the agricultural district, which Steve Truce referred to, and look around, I'm here to tell you every single acre on South Campus is directly tied to our foundational plant science research programs, our research and teaching programs in animal science, and or raising feed to support those animals. So through the great work of the real estate office, they were able to identify some farmland that's actually for sale that will help us further meet our needs for feed production and also provide the efficiency needed and flexibility to be able to raise special feedstuffs that may be needed for research projects. So this will allow us to enhance our operational efficiency and maximize return on investment from this project. And we appreciate your support.
Thank you very much. Trustees, we have a properly made motion, which has been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. Trustee Vassar?
As chairperson of the trustee committee on budget and finance, I move that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the administration to project entitled MSU Museum Infrastructure Improvements Accreditation.
Thank you. Is there support?
Support.
Any discussion?
There should be Judith Stoddard for discussion.
Thank you very much, Trustee Vassar. And thank you very much for having me here today. The MSU Museum, as many of you know, is the foundational part of learning and research on campus. The first collections were established in 1857, the year MSU formally opened to its inaugural class of students. It is one of the earliest established university museums in the nation. Today, it serves as a hub for the kind of strategic research and teaching collaborations promoted by Vision 2050 at the heart of North Campus. Its collections of over 1 million objects that span natural sciences and material and cultural history support new transdisciplinary lines of inquiry that characterize a complex public research university with a global impact. In 2023, the vertebrate collections alone has been used for over 140 scholarly articles by faculty here and around the world, with emphasis in the areas of evolution, biodiversity, climate change, and disease ecology, and with over 35,000 citations in the last 5 years. The museum partners with faculty on federal grants and brings in its own grants to help conserve, grow, and digitize its collections for international use. In 2023 and in the 2022-23 academic year, the museum engaged over 6,000 MSU students from 16 of MSU's 17 colleges through formal coursework that used collections and exhibitions for experiential learning, and the museum hosted 13 classes on site. To support innovations in teaching and learning, the museum received the $2 million endowment from the MSU FCU to support the MSU Museum CoLab Studio last year, and another $2 million from the Forest Acres Trust this fall to create an exciting new Forest Acres immersive lab and exhibit lab in the next few years. The museum is part of several national networks, including the Association of Science and Technology Centers and the Smithsonian Institution's affiliates, as the state's first Smithsonian affiliate museum in 2001. These network affiliations and the museum's increasing success in securing grants are possible because the museum is nationally accredited by the American Alliance of Museums, AAM, which is the gold standard for all museums in the US, and only approximately 3% of museums are accredited in the nation. And we are one of a handful of Big Ten institutions that is proud to have 2 AAM accredited museums, the other being the MSU Broad Art Museum. Investment in the museum is critical now because in its last accreditation review in 2018, AAM indicated that reaccreditation will depend on remediation of temperature and humidity controls in alignment with industry standards for collection stewardship, storage, and exhibition. The museum, as many of you probably know, currently has no central air system, and the primary spaces in the building have no air conditioning or air circulation, including the primary exhibition spaces. Losing accreditation would jeopardize the museum's competitiveness for federal grants that are the primary means of supporting collections care, maintenance, and digitized access. Renovation and reaccreditation will enable the MSU Museum to serve as a central campus catalyst for teaching, learning, and research at the intersection of the arts, sciences, and humanities. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustees, we have a properly made motion which has been seconded and discussed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Trustee Vassar?
Thank you. The committee received updates from Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer and Treasurer, Lisa Frace, and I appreciate your work, Lisa, and the committee appreciates your work. The Budget and Finance Committee has had a busy and productive year. I'd like to share a few highlights from the past year. approval of over $500 million in capital investment, including projects that support student success, belonging, and wellness. For example, the new Multicultural Center is a $38 million project that will open in 2024 in the fall. The Multicultural Center will foster cultural and intellectual curiosity and understanding in a supportive, welcoming environment, and create a sense of belonging, support, and community among students, faculty, staff, and alumni from all backgrounds and social identities. Meanwhile, the new Rec and Wellness Center, a 300,000 square foot, $200 million project, will provide a modern student recreation center that will promote student health and wellness and help to accommodate significant student recreation and fitness demand on campus. It will be substantially complete in February 2026. In October, the board approved the annual State of Michigan required MSU 5-year capital plan and capital outlay request for State of Michigan cost participation for the new Engineering and Digital Innovation Center that is currently in planning. We're excited about EDIC. And today we adopted Vision 2050, an integrated facilities and land use plan. It is informed by the MSU 2030 strategic plan. The plan establishes a flexible framework to guide physical development in alignment with MSU's academic, research, and outreach mission, and established planning and budgeting protocols. Finally, a key fiduciary responsibility of the board, including a $45.8 million investment in employees. This budget, the highest priority for our funding in this budget was compensation, with 71% of the incremental revenues allocated to salaries, wages, and benefits. The budget allocated $37.1 million to increase general fund salaries and $8.7 million to related benefits in the fiscal year 2024. We are committed to our employees, and we greatly appreciate all the hard work of everyone who makes MSU magnificent. That is the end of my report.
Very good. Thank you. I now call upon Trustee Dennis Steno to present the Committee on Academic Affairs report.
Hi, thank you very much. As chairperson of the Trustee Committee on Academic Affairs, otherwise known as the Awesome Academic Affairs Committee, I move that the board hereby approves the establishment of the Department of PA Medicine in the Michigan State University College of Osteopathic Medicine.
Very good. Do we have support?
Support.
Any discussion?
I think we're supposed to call for support, I think.
Yeah, we just called for support, and now we'll call for discussion. I believe.
Turn up your volume so you can hear. She already did all
that. She did. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. I'm kind of screwing up here. Again, this is why you shouldn't have me run meetings. Okay, so I'd like to call on my absolute favorite medical doctor, Dr. Norm Beauchamp, to talk about this.
Thank you, Trustee Deno. Honored to be that. Thank you. The state of Michigan has a well-known physician shortage. 1 in 5 adults in Michigan does not have a primary care physician. Addressing this is amongst MSU's highest priorities. We very specifically call this out in our 2030 strategic plan, and the physician assistant or PA profession complements our premier training programs of osteopathic medicine and allopathic medicine, as well as our nurse practitioner program in the College of Nursing. Today's action formalizes the existing PA medicine program into an academic department. This will further position the department for even greater impact across all the missions of MSU. The PA medicine program was initiated in 2018, enrolling 32 students in May 2022, and it is on track to grow to 36 students in May 2024. And I want to recognize Director and Professor John McGinnity, a national leader in PA programs. And I appreciate the board's support for this program being established as a department.
Thank you very much, trustees. There's a properly made motion which has been seconded and discussed. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries.
Hey, thank you. I'm sorry. The committee heard updates on the MSU Henry Ford Health Partnership and academic student success initiatives. Over the past year, the committee has been very busy. A few highlights of our work includes revisions to bylaws, last updated, substantially updated in 2003, furthering the governance work and process of the board, restructuring of the policy manual, first comprehensive overhaul of the board's policy structure since the Detroit Tigers won the World Series in 1984. The restructuring will update, restructure, and provide a more consistent level of information for those charged with implementing or complying with a particular policy. Amendment to Ordinance 18.00, revised to provide clarity to the university's prohibition of the possession and use of firearms and weapons on property governed by the board. Approval of 7 new academic departments, which benefits to medical students in applying for residencies. Growth of these programs brings opportunities for strengthening and enriching educational research activities and aligning efforts across departments and programs to achieve critical healthcare and educational goals, addressing societal issues that impact Michigan residents and beyond. The board has also discussed student success initiatives, admissions, and enrollment, and we look forward to further conversations in the spring semester. This is why our committee is the coolest committee on campus, and this concludes my report.
Thank you very much. I now call upon Trustee Dan Kelly to present the Committee on Audit, Risk, and Compliance.
Thank you. First of all, I have a couple of announcements. First, as part of the Audit, Risk, and Compliance discussion in executive session yesterday, the board consented to settle claims with 3 families that lost a child during the February 13th shooting on campus. The General Counsel is therefore authorized to execute such documents and agreements as may be necessary or appropriate to implement those settlements in principle. While no amount of compensation can ever replace the loss of a life, we do hope this brings some closure, support, and relief to those families. The university gives its deepest condolences to each of the 3 families, and we are committed to ensuring the memory of their child is not forgotten in the Spartan community. The university remains committed to enhancing safety on campus and providing mental health support to our community as we continue to heal. We honor the memories of those we lost by working to create an environment where safety and well-being of our community is a top priority. Secondly, the university received an update from the law firm of Jones Day regarding the investigation into alleged breaches of confidentiality regarding the Office of Civil Rights case involving former head coach Mel Tucker. The investigation is complete. Jones Day will now be drafting and producing a public report. I will now proceed with the action items of the committee. As chairperson of the Trustee Committee on Audit, Risk, and Compliance, I move that the board hereby approve the following: a service agreement with Editing Fix, an option agreement with Acela Bio, an exclusive licensing agreement with Motion Grazer, a sponsored research agreement with Copus Ag Tech, a sponsor research agreement with Copus Biomass Solutions, an option agreement with Ganic Inc., a sponsor research agreement with Ganic Inc. I believe Doug Gage is available if we have any questions with regard to the service agreements we've asked to approve.
Very good. Let me call for support before discussion. Do I have support for the motion? Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. Trustee Kelly?
Thank you. As chairperson of the Trustee Committee on Audit, Risk, and Compliance, I move that the board hereby adopt the governance principles outlined and included in the public packet.
Support. Thank you. Any discussion?
It's about time.
I now call for a roll call vote. Secretary Fletcher?
Thank you very much, Interim President Woodruff. Roll call vote will proceed. Trustee Byram?
Yes.
Trustee Dano?
Yes.
Trustee Kaneki Jefferson?
Yes.
Trustee Kelly?
Yes.
Trustee Pierce?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Trustee Tebay?
Yes.
Trustee Vassar.
Yes.
Interim President, the vote is 8-0. The motion is approved.
Very good. Trustee Kelly?
Finally, at the request of the board's ARC subcommittee, the university's general counsel was asked to prepare a resolution authorizing the release of documents related to the Attorney General's investigation of the Larry Nassar matter. The resolution is in the public packet. May I have a motion with regard to the resolution?
So moved.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I now call for a roll call vote. Secretary Fletcher.
Interim President, I believe the motion just has to be read if possible.
Thank you. Trustee Kelly?
All right. Stefan, would you like me to read the entire resolution?
Yes, please.
All right. Whereas the Board of Trustees of Michigan State University is a corporate entity created by and existing under the Constitution of the State of Michigan of 1963, with full constitutional authority and general supervision of Michigan State University. And whereas in 2018, the Michigan Attorney General served a search warrant on the university in connection with the Attorney General's investigation of the Larry Nassar matter and other Title IX matters unrelated to Larry Nassar. And whereas the university completed an examination of its records, compiled documents responsive to the warrant, and provided nearly 120,000 documents to the Attorney General, subject to appropriate redactions of personal information necessary to comply with applicable privacy statutes. And whereas the university, when compiling the documents responsive to the warrant, also compiled a privileged log of responsive documents that in part or whole contained information subject to attorney-client and work product privileges. And the university produced that privilege log to the Attorney General and produced to the Attorney General approximately 2,000 documents logged on the privilege log with appropriate redactions, and withheld approximately 4,000 privileged documents in their entirety. Whereas the 54B District Court of the County of Ingham conducted an in-camera examination of the privilege log and privileged documents and determined in a March 13, 2019 order that the university had properly exercised its privilege, and the Attorney General closed its investigation in March 2021. And whereas in April 2023, the Attorney General made a new request that the university release to the Attorney General in full all documents not previously released in response to the warrant. And whereas the university desires to cooperate and provide finality in the matter. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees authorizes the Vice President for Legal Affairs and General Counsel to conduct and oversee the examination of documents identified in the privilege log created in the Attorney General's investigation and release such documents to the Attorney General, subject to any appropriate redactions for information necessary to comply with and protect individual interests under the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act of 1974, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996, and other applicable privacy statutes and any applicable protective orders entered by federal and state courts or third-party confidentiality agreements, and to protect attorney-client privilege communications concerning matters unrelated to Larry Nassar. And be it further resolved that the administration is directed to develop and implement a trauma-informed plan to provide the necessary support and resources to individuals who may be impacted by the release of the documents that are within the scope of this resolution.
Thank you. We have a properly made motion, which was seconded and read fully. Any further discussion? I now call on the secretary for a roll call vote to the board.
Thank you, Interim President Woodruff. Trustee Byram.
Yes.
Trustee Demo.
Emphatic yes.
Trustee Kanaki Jefferson.
Yes.
Trustee Kelly.
Yes.
Trustee Pierce.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Tebay.
Yes.
Trustee Vassar.
Yes.
Interim President, the vote is 8-0. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you very much.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Very good. I now call upon Trustee Kelly Tebay to present the Committee on Student Life and Culture report.
Thank you. This month, the committee received updates from student organizations as part of a student leaders gathering at Birdie Hall. We received an update and had conversation with the NAACP group and a presentation on Black student initiatives. As we reflect on the past year, I'd like to share some of the work the Student Life and Culture Committee has done. In regards to student mental health, we reviewed current mental health services for students and devised processes for supporting university health and well-being initiatives. We reviewed student engagement with recreation, sports, and wellness this semester, including the increase in IM sports participation by almost 20% this semester. And we've implemented new initiatives to engage with students more as a committee. We have 2 dinners that we scheduled with the student leaders groups. One we had on November 30th and one we will have next semester on March 2024. And we're continuing to have conversations on ways that we can engage with students going forward. This concludes my report.
Thank you very much. I now call upon Board Secretary Stephen Fletcher to invite public participation on other items.
Thank you very much, Interim President Woodruff. We'll now proceed to the participation on items not germane to the agenda portion of the meeting. Each individual who has signed up to speak will have 3 minutes to address the board. Your time will end when the buzzer sounds. Again, given the number of speakers today, we really do ask that you, try to keep to that 3 minutes pretty tightly. Note that persons scheduled to speak may not cede all or any of their time to other individuals or read statements on behalf of others. We will now hear from Felicia Wasson, followed by Donya Odom. Felicia, can you hear me?
Good morning. Yes, I can hear you.
Good morning. Please proceed with your comments.
Good morning. Good morning, Interim President Woodruff, Board Chair Vassar, trustees, students, faculty, staff, alumni, and friends of my beloved alma mater. My name is Felicia Turrentine Wasson, a 1993 graduate of the College of Social Science at Michigan State. I consider it a privilege to speak to you today. In addition to being a proud graduate, I am a child of the city of Lansing, a member of the Board of Directors of the Women's Leadership Institute and Alumni Leadership Council in the College of Social Science, and of the Women in Philanthropy Group of MSU. Michigan State holds a near and dear place in my heart, for it is where I found and developed my voice as a scholar, a woman, and successful professional and leader. I dedicate my time, talent, and my treasure to the university, no matter how far away my travels take me. Michigan State is home. I come to you today as our university faces significant challenges. While this is not the first time we have yet again found ourselves at a crucial point that I believe is a moment for all of us to right this ship. I attended the university from 1988 to 1993. During that time, for 8 days, I and many of my fellow students staged a sit-in at the administration building to protest racial inequities. Like-minded students decided to use their voice to effectuate change, to disrupt the status quo. During those years, the graduation and retention rate of Black students lagged significantly behind white and Asian students. To my dismay, this disparity still exists. But you trustees are keenly aware of these gaps. I mention them to remind you of your purpose. While personal differences, accusations, and disagreements have been stated time and time again, it is imperative that we put these differences aside and focus on the students. I would dare say that most of us, if not all of us, would have colleagues that disagree with our method in our respective workplaces. That is inherently human. Change is hard, but disruption is often necessary. I would like to publicly applaud Board Chair Vassar for her resolve. I do believe that public service is still a noble profession. She, like all of you, volunteers her time, leaving her family and other obligations to serve the university. She is extremely qualified, passionate, and invested in the success of students at MSU. Disruption is terrifying at times, but what I learned most while sitting on the floor of the John Hanna Administration Building for those 8 days is that disruption is necessary and required if we want to see significant change. Some of our most storied heroes were disruptors in their time and are now held up as models for change. Shirley Chisholm, Muhammad Ali, Fannie Lou Hamer, Mahatma Gandhi. I'd like to encourage Dr. Vassar to be steadfast and unmovable when it comes to our students. We are counting on you, Interim President Woodruff, President Guskowitz, and your fellow board members to right this ship. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next public speaker is Donya Odom, followed by Cynthia Johnson. Donya, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
I can indeed. Donya, please proceed with your comments.
You're worried about Dr. Rima on a plane while your minoritized students are suffering. Your outcome for Black students are abysmal. I've watched them come to you and beg you all for protection and safety. They ask you to listen to them, to address the anti-Black racism they are experiencing on campus. Instead of protection, you've attacked them. You've added to the violence they are experiencing by criminalizing them. Jack Lipton, how do you call yourself an educator? Educators are responsible for the growth and development of their students. Enacting violence on them thwarts their growth, impairs their development. You are not an educator. You have a position at MSU, but you're not an educator. You need to apologize to the people you've criminalized in the news. Apologize and make amends. Ask what can you do to earn their forgiveness, and hope they tell you. Back to the plane, Jack, you are manipulative. That you would weaponize accreditation like this is despicable. The HLC will see straight through this ploy, just like the attempts to stop the presidential search. I heard that you and Trustee Bynum attempted to stop the search. It didn't work, but you did succeed in alienating people, students, and donors. Dr. Rima has integrity. She comes to this board to serve. On that plane is what she was doing. The donor, Steve St. Andrew, is a devoted Spartan, a major donor for MSU. He has no contracts with the university, no bids. All he does is give millions of dollars. According to the HLC criteria 2C, aren't trustees supposed to be fiduciaries? Trustees, why aren't you on planes? Isn't your job bringing money into the university should be what we all do? Or do you have conflicts? Back to Jack. So you reported to the HLC that Dr. Rima is doing her job, doing it well. What job are you doing, Dr. Lipton? Clearly, you are not here to educate and pursue the best interests of the university. What are you all doing here? Without a mission, you promote chaos and destructive behavior. You will not destroy Dr. Rima. Dr. Rima is authentic. She is the same everywhere she goes. Brilliant, smart, asks hard questions of herself, beautiful inside out. She is bold, unafraid, and courageous advocate. Only weak board members are intimidated by Dr. Rima. She knows why she's here. Do you self-reflect and find out your mission and your values, and look into the lives of those who look and your values and live out those as leaders for an institution. Remember that Dr. Rima is here to serve. You know, she knows who she is, who she is. She came from, keeping close and keep choosing love, even in the lion's den. You will not prevail because truth always wins out. I trust Dr. Rima, and you should too.
Thank you, Donya, for your comments. I don't believe Cynthia Johnson has joined at this stage, so we'll next move to Tanisha Manningham, followed by Marlene Coakley. Tanisha, can you hear me?
I can.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please proceed with your comments.
Good morning, everyone. My words will be short but sweet. I stand in support of Dr. Rima Vassar, the Michigan State University Board Trustee Chair. In the 3 years I've had the privilege of working with her, she has been nothing but supportive of the work that Black women leaders have done in the city of Detroit. To see her going through this tumultuous storm is very disheartening. She has been well respected in the realm of education for many years. And so it is very disappointing to see that she's been thrown under the fire for things that she should not be thrown under the fire for. So again, I just want to say, Dr. Rima, that I love you. You know that I have all the utmost respect for you. I stand with you. You have to continue to trust your purpose because the truth will prevail. Thank you.
Tanisha, thank you very much. Our next speaker is Merlene Coakley, followed by Tracy Jefferson. Merlene, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, good morning. Please proceed with your comments.
Good morning. I am a principal within Detroit Public Schools Community District. Dr. Rima walks in wellness with me and 20 other Black women leaders. We focus on loving ourselves so that we can love our school communities. I am here to support her and to speak to who she really is. My heart broke for her in October when I saw her name and face on the news. Though I am disappointed by these attacks that she is experiencing, I am not surprised. Anytime someone champions marginalized people, pushes for equity and justice for those who are neglected and underrepresented, they will suffer the brutality of those committed to maintaining status quo. Dr. Rima is a change agent. She has worked for her entire life to change education. She has helped me in my leadership as I seek to serve families in my school community and right educational wrongs they continue to suffer in a system that actively oppresses them. During our 3-year friendship, she has helped me identify areas of growth for myself and my school community. Her focus on wellness has helped me value myself, discover my dreams, and commit to loving myself so that I may love others. Again, seeing her mischaracterized on the news hurts me deeply. Someone who loves and gives so freely of herself to others in service should not be attacked like this, doesn't deserve to be bashed like this. I talked with Dr. Rima about what she is experiencing. Through our wellness journey, we focus on compassion and empathy and understanding. I do not understand why or how people can be this cruel, but through our focus on love, I can feel badly for those who have attacked her. I know that those who commit these kinds of loveless acts lack love for themselves. Anyone who would seek to hurt someone else must be hurt themselves. I pray for Dr. Rima. I pray for her strength and resolve while committing to be a leader wherever she goes. I pray she doesn't lose heart, doesn't get weary, and is doing well, doesn't give up on her mission to improve the lives of others. We need her. I also pray for those that are trying to hurt Dr. Rima. I pray that you heal from whatever traumas you have experienced that would cause you to lash out this way. Dr. Rima promotes self-care and encourages counseling. Please get help. Your life will be better when you heal whatever wounds that you have that are resulting you to hurt another person. Dr. Rima, take care of yourself. Center your peace. Find joy in the midst of this turmoil you are going through. You will get through it, and everyone will be better for it.
Thank you very much, Merlene. Appreciate the comments. Tracy Jefferson is our next speaker, followed by Lucius Vassar. Tracy, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Can indeed. Good morning, and please proceed with your comments.
Okay, thank you. I've been paying attention to the board since the malicious attack on Dr. Rima Vassar. I have a few observations. Thank you for letting me speak this morning. It seems to me Dr. Vassar is practicing what she promised, accountability and transparency. She wanted to release the Nassar documents. Judging by October's meeting, she's not the only one. If it's true that most of you said what you said you would release them, why haven't you? The administration is a problem. The survivors, the swim and dive advocates, the grad students, the Palestinian students, the Dean Gupta supporters all came to address complaints they had of the administration. not Dr. Vassar. Yet, the media coverage was focused on Dr. Vassar. It seems you are scapegoating the lone Black woman leader on the board who shows authentically for all the problems administration is causing. This is common. Black women leaders are often blamed for problems they didn't cause and were not allowed to solve. Speaking of media coverage, the Faculty Senate Chair, Dr. Lipton, is reckless with his words and actions. Why is he allowed to talk about students in this manner? Mobs are criminal enterprises. Is this how MSU faculty think of Black students? Why hasn't there been a public apology to students who came to voice their concerns about the administration and the board's treatment of Dr. Vassar? Jack, is there a reason you have not apologized for your statement? Even if you believe Black students, Palestinians, and survivors are criminals, can you not see the harm you have done in voicing that belief in the media? Are you not sorry that students feel unsafe because of what you said? And does Jack Lipton represent the thoughts and views of all faculty there? If not, why has only the Black faculty condemned him? At the last meeting, I saw at least 4 other faculty represented, all women. Do you agree with him? If not, why have you not held your leader accountable? Also, the state news. I have paid close attention to your coverage of Chairwoman Vassar. You're obviously biased. Attacks on Dr. Vassar have been consistent since she became chair. Alex Walters is writing single source stories of her and her alone. Before Dr. Vassar became chair, he barely covered the board. Alex Walters is a young, impressionable student who plainly gets information leaked to him about Dr. Vassar. That he is allowed to write these stories with one source is not good journalism. Who is the paper's advisor? Alex is supposed to be getting a good education in journalism. Where is the guidance? Why is no one teaching him? And finally, who are the sources? Dr. Reamer has been cleared of leaking. She's obviously not leaking lies about her to Alex Walters in the state news. Who on the board is? It seems that you board members accuse her of what you actually are doing. Where are your ethics? Chair Dr. Reamer is a principal leader dedicated to student success, overlooked Spartans and justice. I'll say what I said before. Leave her alone and let her do her work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Our next speaker will be Lucius Vassar, followed by Maisha Stewart. Lucius, are you with us?
I am, Dr. Fletcher. Can you hear me?
I can indeed. Good morning, and please proceed with your comments.
Thank you. Emmons Hall, December 1987. As an undergraduate, I, like many students, was slugging it out with finals. Some of us had to work during the break to help with school expenses. I worked at the MSU physical plant doing minor repair and painting. I still found time to have some fun, whether I was back home in Niles or spending the holidays with my friends in Detroit. I hope all of our current students will do so as well. The Law College, December 1997. At MSU Law, I enjoyed a brief break from school, but I was still working full-time, often spending late nights at the Capitol on the black and white tiles of the lobby outside of the House or Senate chambers, preparing for the legislature to adjourn and the day of sine die. It was during the 1990s that I first met Kathy Wilbur. Her legacy of service lives on, and our thoughts and prayers remain for her and her family. Today, my Spartan holiday experience is very different. Our adult children are newly minted Spartan alumni or students looking forward to a needed break. Rima and I are creating Christmas and Kwanzaa memories for our youngest children who may be future Spartans in the class of 2033 and beyond. No matter who you are as a Spartan, no matter what stage of life, no matter how you recognize this season, please embrace this opportunity as 2023 comes to a close, an opportunity to reflect. 2023 brought many challenges, but none of us will experience what the families of our fallen and recovering Spartans are facing this season. They are in my prayers. An opportunity to refresh and renew, an opportunity to rest and reconnect, an opportunity to recommit and resolve to improve in the coming year. For 2024, let's all commit to doing better, to being better as a unified Spartan family. Let's heal and grow stronger together. To some of the many Spartan spouses, to Tom, Kathy, Jim, Raina, Adam, Wallace, I'm sure you're looking forward to some quality time with your Spartan spouse, as am I. You and your families make a unique sacrifice in sharing your favorite Spartan with the broader MSU community. This has been especially true for Dr. Tom O'Halloran. It was good to see you again recently, Tom, and watching your eyes light up as you talked about having more of Teresa's time in the coming year. Thank you, Interim President Woodruff, for your service. In closing, I want to extend a warm welcome and holiday cheer to some new members of the Spartan family. Incoming President Guskowitz, I look forward to your leadership with high expectations and full support. As you and Amy get settled, know that I am among many who stand ready to assist you. Coach Smith, we've not had an opportunity to meet, but know that we also welcome you and your family and look forward to your success. Coach, I do have a small request, but you have plenty of time to deliver. We need a bowl game to look forward to this time next year. To the entire Spartan family, I wish you peace and blessings. Go Green.
Thank you so much, Lucius. Our next speaker will be Maisha Stewart, followed by Alyssa Hakeem. Maisha, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can indeed. Good morning, Maisha. Please proceed with your comments.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I spoke at the last meeting, and I'm here again to lend support to Chair Vassar, my sister, and an exceptional leader. Hopefully, this is the last time I will have to come and address this board regarding Dr. Rima's treatment. Congrats to you, though, on selecting a new president. Dr. Rima is excited about new leadership, and I do hope you are excited about this new president as well. I hope you take this as an opportunity to reset with Chair Vassar, work with her, and charge forward. Here is a chance to lead as strong women do. So we have a historic opportunity right now. Instead of capitalizing on it, I'm dismayed with the negative press MSU consistently receives. A shooting with students killed and injured, fired football coach, anti-Semitism, anti-Palestinian violence, anti-Black racism, all in the last year. This is not the time for more negativity and finger pointing. This meeting is virtual, but Dr. Rima confidently attended the last meeting in person while in the midst of an assault on her character and ability. She took beatings from her own colleagues, but she wore them like a designer coat. She walked into the meeting with her head high, looking flawless as always. That's a testament to her strength and her skill as a leader. The attacks on her character are not just harmful to her, they injure MSU. Creating crises with women attacking another woman is deplorable, unnecessary, and damaging to the reputation of MSU and women leaders. And to what end? What is your aim? As fiduciaries of this university who are responsible for thousands of lives, including impressionable students, you need to put the needs of those you serve above yourselves. Please, please stop. Attend to the work of MSU. Pay attention to your service. If your eyes are on Dr. Rima, look for ways you can help her, not harm her. Joining her as a colleague, a peer, a professional should be your objective. You have new leadership coming soon. Choose to be new leaders yourselves. Dr. Rima, you are loved. You are love. Do not dim your light for others' comfort. Continue to be a beacon of transparency, accountability, and servant leadership. You have vast support. Continue to be beautiful. We are watching, wanting the best for you and MSU. Thank you.
Thank you, Maisha. Much appreciated. Our next speaker is Alyssa Hakeem, followed by Saba Saeed. Alyssa, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm muted. Thank you. Today I'm joining from the student-led session. I'm going to begin. So today I refuse to be palatable. I refuse to speak in a way that reinforces the white supremacist systems, structures, and thoughts that my people, and quite frankly, all marginalized people, are victimized by. To speak in that way subdues the resistance of both the Lebanese and greater Arab communities, especially those in Palestine, which is totally counterproductive. I will no longer bite my tongue and beautify my words so they are palatable to ears that only listen and understand colonial viewpoints. Yesterday, I was afraid to do this. I was afraid to speak my truth and to honor my history because of the retaliation I faced. I was afraid to further academic and professional retaliation, particularly from my fellow Spartans that have already minimized and villainized me because of my Arab identity. I and every other student, faculty, staff member, and member of the administration should never feel that way. We should never feel intimidated by this institution and by our peers. We shouldn't be forced to sit here in silence while we witness people die, around 20,000 Palestinians dead at this point and nearly 2 million displaced. The current administration, from members of the Board of Trustees to the president to anyone else in a position to do something, has failed me and every other person like me. Your failure to adequately address the ongoing situation in Gaza is shameful and disappointing. The dead bodies of Palestinians, of the Lebanese, Syrians, and Egyptians that have been murdered are not some collateral damage to an unjust war. What's happening is genocide, and your silence is abhorrent. We have been treated and revered in undignified ways. We've been ignored, disrespected, criminalized, and minimized. Instead of real action, we're met with a bunch of cowardly, disgraceful, spineless figureheads who have done little to nothing to actually support students on campus and create a space of belonging and inclusion. The things that have been provided, such as academic accommodations, are a bare minimum that students had to call for. These accommodations and any meetings with students have been turned into talking points to shut us up and avoid the real problems. The truth is that all of these meetings are weaponized against us to make it look like MSU is actually doing something in terms of DEI. You're getting your brownie points while giving us empty words and no action. DEI is not a box to be checked, but the intentional and consistent analysis of the current limited tangible actions this university has taken and every action you have failed to take. The president couldn't even afford us a formal public apology for her previous statements released in October, which opened us up to racism, Islamophobia, and most specifically, anti-Palestinian hate and rhetoric. We cannot continue to function as a school when the institution itself adds to hate on campus and doubles down on it in denial. We students are clear about what we need, and Teresa has had our immediate demands for over a month. She went ghost until Monday when she invited many student leaders to her home so she could feel better about her moral compass while still remaining silent on the ongoing genocide. Muslim and Arab, specifically Palestinian, anti-Zionist Jewish students and our allies have been left in the dust. We've been ostracized and the sanctity of our privacy and safety has been destroyed. This university and every single one of you is failing its students. Shame on all of you because you've provided no way of ensuring you're doing anything to help us and you've given us nothing. Rather, you give hundreds of thousands of dollars in aid to the Israeli terror regime and millions to weapons manufacturers. This institution is cashing in blood money and all of your hands are dirty. So long as you are not doing everything in your power to remove yourself and this institution from the ongoing genocide, you are a failure. And to shy away from taking a firm stance is to recognize that injustice is the norm, and you will further solidify that as the status quo. So when we look critically at the status quo, we see exactly who benefits from it.
Thank you, Alyssa. We're going to conclude your remarks. We're sort of over the 3 minutes by a little bit, so thank you. We will next be moving to Saba Saeed, followed by Yusuf Abbas. Saba, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can indeed. Saba, good morning, and please proceed with your comments.
Good morning. I wanted to thank Chair Vassar and Trustee Deno for joining us today. Your continuous presence is truly valued, noted, and appreciated. You've been a great listening ear and acting body for the student voices. On the Board of Trustees website, it directly states the people of Michigan, through the state constitution, established the Michigan State University Board of Trustees to develop a free and distinguished university to promote the welfare of humanity through teaching, research, and service. To meet the directives, the Constitution grants the board general supervision of the institution, including control and direction of all its expenditures and final authority in its government. So it is directly up to you to create the necessary changes and listen to your student body and their needs. It's quite frustrating and honestly embarrassing to watch and keep hearing that this position is a volunteer position and that many of you have day jobs, especially since Oxford Dictionary defines the term volunteer as a person who freely offers to take a part in an enterprise or undertake a task. So it's completely your free choice to take this position and uphold the values and fulfill the responsibilities that come with it. It is unprofessional and honestly somewhat childish to use that as a reason to justify your lack of commitment to bettering this institution. Being a student means we study, we work hard, and we aim to look up to those in position like yours as role models. But when our jobs become calling you out on your consistent failure, we lose the admiration we once thought we might have for leaders of an institution. We lose sight of what it's like transitioning between students and our adult life, and it forces us to get rid of any innocence or any childlike spirit and forces us to become accustomed to the reality of the dark, twisted world out there. So please, I urge you to do your volunteer work, make your students, the stakeholders, those who elected you feel like you volunteered because you care and not because you need something for a resume or for the name. You've had enough time to update your resumes by now. Divest from Israel. I don't want the blood of my people on my hands because I simply pay tuition for my education. Divest from weapon manufacturers and do not open Berkey Hall. Do I really have to say that? And for the love of God, say something in support of a ceasefire. Even the UN did it. I'll write your statements for you even. If you can't deal with the responsibility you signed up for because of your daily life, then resign. As you said, this is a volunteer position, something that you signed up for, something that you took on with your daily life, especially if those of you who her title literally requires connecting with students in the student body. And please leave your personal feelings about each other outside of these meetings. We're just trying to get our education and survive on this campus. And Dr. Jack Lipton, am I not a threat now? I straightened my hair, I spoke calmly, and I tried sounding as white as I could. You may not be hungry for justice because you're full of privilege, but we are fueled by the fight to justice. So sorry, our fight for equality has threatened your white institution standards. And for the sake of a throwback to the last Board of Trustees meeting, shame on you, Dr. Lipton. Your words don't scare me, but they merely make me feel sorry for you because you don't have anything of meaning to really fight for. Thank you.
Saba, thank you. Our next speaker is Yusuf Abbas, followed by Layla Kunesh. Yusuf, can you hear me?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can indeed. Good morning, and please proceed with your comments.
Today, I should feel nothing but joy and pride. I spent the past 4 years studying engineering, and now I finally succeeded, a moment that I worked so hard for. I grew to appreciate this university, the grounds, professors, staff, and fellow students that make this university great. It has been my dream since childhood to be an engineer and create things that help people. But this joy has been subdued by the indiscriminate bombing and suffering of the Palestinian people of Gaza and the West Bank. The people of Gaza face Nakba, the same trauma my own family experienced in 1948. Seeing how this impacted my grandfather, who had to watch his own father murdered by the very same army that now bombs Gaza, I cannot help feel sorrow and pain. Palestinian students on your campus are all deeply distressed about our families. We see not only the humanitarian crisis where the people of Gaza have been denied adequate access to food, water, and shelter, and face bombings in so-called safe zones. We see extremist settlers harass, evict, and murder Palestinians in the West Bank. Most gravely, we see Israeli politicians openly calling for the mass expulsion of Palestinians in Gaza. And yet, when asked for justice, for an end to the human rights abuses of Palestinians face due to the Israeli occupation, politicians make empty promises and administrators hold long meetings that are not designed for dialogue and serious discussion, but to placate students with fake smiles. Behind closed doors, they'll say they understand or they feel our pain. I mean to tell you, these words mean nothing to me now. If the members of the board and the community do not know the gravity of the situation in Gaza that is being done with the help of our own tax dollars and military industry, which the university is invested in, I'll ask you these questions. Would it convince you to release a statement if 20 Israeli-based human rights organizations wrote a letter to the president urging him to act to prevent a humanitarian catastrophe? They have done so already. Would it convince you, the university, or anyone to openly acknowledge that Palestinians face an apartheid system of government if former Israeli government officials and academics describe the occupation this way? Many have already spoken out, and now you too must come forward to speak on behalf of the Palestinian people and to speak for justice.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Layla Kunesh, followed by Samir Levitt. Layla, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
I can indeed. Thank you, Layla. Please proceed with your comments.
Hi, I would like to talk today about the responsibilities of the Board of Trustees. The responsibility to students, to the community, and society generally. First, the Board of Trustees has a responsibility to the students of MSU. Students who have been sounding alarm bells about the failure of the university to address Title IX reports, discrimination, and sexual assault. Students who have been struggling in the face of discrimination, students who have been struggling as the university has remained largely silent about events in Palestine. The board has a responsibility to all students and alumni who are struggling right now, but has shown more interest in performative and self-serving actions while engaging in petty internal disputes, simultaneously failing to act. The board is known to be elected by the voters of Michigan, but it is also known that universities largely serve as beacons of moral judgment for surrounding communities. As such, the board has a responsibility to these communities. The people of Michigan have watched as nearly every leader of the state condemns Islamophobia and anti-Arab hate while continue to perpetuate it with their words and actions, just as MSU has. The university has a responsibility to these communities to speak up about what is just, not only condemning Islamophobia and anti-Arab hate, but demonstrating bravery in speaking about Palestine and Palestinians broadly. Finally, the university has a responsibility to society at large. As an institution, MSU has a voice and power, a power it currently uses to support hate, white supremacy, and genocide through its words, actions, and with the money it spends. The university reports investments in weapon manufacturing, fossil fuels, and the State of Israel, money that is used to further engage in killings and brutality abroad. The trustees have a responsibility to wash the blood off of their hands, a responsibility to the society to lead by example and recognize how the nation has failed communities as it supports a genocide, a responsibility to divest, a responsibility to stand in support of a ceasefire. I hope the board can take these words to heart and finally recognize the responsibility it holds and take actions instead of engaging in performative words and acts.
Thank you, Layla. Our next speaker is Samir Levitt, followed by Abdo Korayim. Samir, can you hear me? Good morning, Samir. Okay. We'll move to our next speaker, Abdo Korayim, followed by Gabby Bassell. Abdo, can you hear me? Okay. We'll keep sort of moving through the list. Gabby Bassell is our next speaker. Gabby, are you there? Okay. That will take us to Rebecca Hogan. Are you present for your comments this morning?
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Good morning, Rebecca. I was worried I was talking to myself for a short while. So good morning, and please proceed with your comments.
Thank you. Hello to the board, students, alumni, community members, and thank you for the privilege of speaking today to share my thoughts. My name is Rebecca Hogan. I graduated from Michigan State in 2007 with a Bachelor of Arts in International Relations from James Madison College, and I'm a proud Honors College alumni. In 2006, I was on the MSU Homecoming Court, a chosen representative of the university community. I was also a resident assistant for over 2 years in the residence halls and the president of the 2006-2007 Senior Class Council. Furthermore, both of my parents are Michigan State alumni, and I say all of this to demonstrate that I have for a long time been a proud member of the Michigan State community. That being said, I recently reviewed the university's investments and was very shocked and appalled. I'm here today to urge the university and decision makers to make me proud of my university again by pulling all investments out of the state of Israel. I've spent the course of my life and career as a social justice advocate, humanitarian, and add to that, now I'm a mother of 3 young children. Henry is 2, Riley is 3, and Annalise is 6. When I look at the pictures coming out of Gaza and watch the videos of children torn apart by the indiscriminate bombing, I see my children and I shudder. And our money is funding these bombs. As a mom and concerned citizen, there's only so much I can do. I can boycott, I can protest, I can call my government representatives, and I can raise my voice to other elected officials such as you. But you have real power here. You can actually do something tangible with real money that will make an impact, and furthermore, say something symbolic. You have the ability to make a change to our university's investments and show that we are, as a public university, do not support how the innocent Palestinians are being killed, and we should not fund this war machine. The equivalent of 2 atomic bombs have been dropped on Gaza by the state of Israel in the last 2 months. This is not okay, and we do not need to fund this madness. Countless humanitarian organizations have called for a complete ceasefire and influx of aid to the region, including UNICEF, Doctors Without Borders, Amnesty International, Oxfam International, and many more. The United States General Assembly has voted overwhelmingly for humanitarian ceasefire, yet we are silent. The state of Israel, funded by the United States government and with actual dollars, including our investments, continue the relentless bombing campaign. Last week, Save the Children said, we are running out of words to describe the horrors unfolding for Gaza's children. The conditions in Gaza are unprecedented and have rendered our jobs impossible. There's nothing humanitarians can do without an immediate and complete ceasefire. We cannot undo what we have done, but we can do better in the future. Please make me proud of my alma mater again. Divest from unethical investments in the state of Israel. And finally, I would be remiss to say that given the traumatizing events of last February on campus, those of you with actual power should take a full look at our investments and divest from all unethical corporations and governments, including Israel and all weapons manufacturers. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we go to Bridget, I think Gabby was having some technical issues, so we'll try Gabby again. Gabby, can you hear me now?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes.
Please proceed with your comments.
Okay, thank you. Hello, my name is Gabby, and I'm a PhD student in the philosophy program here at Michigan State University. I am not Palestinian, nor am I Muslim, nor am I of Middle Eastern descent. I am here because I am an anti-imperialist and an anti-capitalist. I am here to stand in solidarity with Huria and the other groups that are currently present because as someone living in the imperial core, I believe it is my duty to stand in opposition to settler colonial violence. As someone who unfortunately has to pay taxes here in the United States, I often think about my role in helping to fund this genocide of innocent Palestinians. These feelings have intensified after learning that my university is also helping fund this genocide by sending $236,000 to the state of Israel, plus millions in weapons manufacturers, of course, as others have pointed out. Huria estimates that MSU is buying the murder of 3,840 Palestinians with this money. You might recognize the person in this photo, at least for the people here. His name is Tariq Thabit. And he, along with 16 of his family members, were killed in an Israeli airstrike in early November. Tariq was a former MSU Humphrey Fellow. I attended his vigil on campus last month, and I was sickened and saddened to hear the story of peril and desperation that he and his family experienced in the weeks leading up to their deaths. To the Board of Trustees, I feel incredibly sorry for you. I feel sorry because if I, like so many other American taxpayers, I'm so riddled with guilt and remorse over my role in funding this genocide, these feelings must be amplified tenfold for you. You must have lost an incredible amount of sleep and self-respect, knowing that you continue to allow MSU to fund the genocide of almost 20,000 Palestinians and counting, and that's just since October. I feel so sorry for you that, actually, hold on. I'm playing the world's tiniest violin for you right now, because actually, I don't feel sorry for you at all. Unlike my legal obligation to pay taxes in this country, you have the decision-making power to cease MSU's aid to the state of Israel. What's your excuse? How many more people like Tariq and his family have to die with their blood on your hands? If you care about the lives of Palestinian people, you will divest now. Free, free Palestine. I don't need my time. I don't yield my time. I'm going to keep on just. What's your name? Angelica is here and would like to speak.
Debbie, you
Not now,
cannot yield your time, so thank you. We'll be moving on. Our next speaker is Bridget Huff, who I don't think is here. So we will move to Shayla Barnes Jr. Shayla, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Good morning, Shayla, and please proceed with your comments.
Okay, it's no video, right? Okay.
Right.
All right, hello, my name is Shayla Barnes Jr., a current law student, former DC Appleseed Center for Law and Justice intern, former Department of Health and Human Service intern, former Detroit Justice Center intern, which is right next door to MSU. I'm here independently. I'm not here on behalf of any one person, one student, one trustee. I'm here on behalf of Michigan State University, the MSU community, and the greater Michigan community in pursuit of justice and equity. Further, any person who enters a conversation about justice would be remiss not to acknowledge that every question of justice includes many intersectional, far-reaching effects that extend beyond the people impacted today. As the meeting action shows, the topic I am here to discuss is education. If anyone listening thus far thinks I have not already touched on education, then you are unfamiliar with what it means to educate. If you are a member of the MSU Board of Trustees community, an active participant engaged in the direction of MSU, then you have already heard that Dr. Rima is a doctor of educational leadership in practice. However, that point cannot be belabored enough, especially when the question presented to MSU is who is best fit to safeguard, support, and elevate this educational institution. Michigan State University is not unfamiliar with scandal, so it should be much easier to distinguish a scandal from a solution. Please put Dr. Rima next to MSU's actual issues and critically assess where she measures up. I have done so and determined Dr. Rima is a solution, not a problem. None of us can be in every room or listen to every conversation. For that data, people turn over their phones to the proper authorities. However, what each of us can do is acknowledge how unfortunate it is that a Black woman's attack on another Black woman has led us to this discourse. But hate is not unfamiliar to anyone here either. Thankfully, we have the motto Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. so graciously provided. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. This motto has continued to ignite progress in all spaces, including education, until the recent Supreme Court rulings in the SSFA cases and others. Here, the very least we can do is uphold our duty to MSU and beyond by ensuring there's a fair and impartial assessment. This is the bare minimum. An opinion is simply that, an opinion. However, in our world and within these present realities, the more potential someone has to make an impact, the more potential public opinion has to extinguish their impact. Please do not let this continue to be MSU's story. When Dr. Rima was elected to MSU's Board of Trustees, then chosen as board chair, these were moments where the cycle of abuse at MSU was disrupted. No one was hurt. The people spoke and the people were heard. Please do not let the cycle of abuse continue based on an opinion launched in the back of one person. Let the people continue to choose their fighter because Dr. Rima has already chosen to MSU.
Shayla, thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Yvonne White, followed by Joshua Mills. Yvonne, are you with us this morning?
Good morning, I am.
Good morning, Yvonne. Please proceed with your comments.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. Good morning, MSU leaders and others present today. My name is Yvonne White, and I serve as the state president of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, one of the nation's oldest civil rights organizations, and also the proud mother of an MSU graduate. Michigan State is not a stranger to racial incidents on their campus. However, upon returning from the COVID-19 lockdowns and in light of the February 13th campus mass shooting, we have received many complaints that have been a persistent escalation of racial motivated incidents that MSU minority students are experiencing and which has caused mental anguish for many Black and Brown students. This mental anguish has created great difficulties and burdens for minority students continuing their pursuit of higher education, both new and returning students. It is our understanding that the university continues to be complacent about ignoring the students' calls for MSU to be a safe learning environment. The lack of attention given by MSU officials has led to isolation, mental distress, and anxiety amongst Black and Brown students who feel as though they don't matter nor are valued in a space that should be safe for them to live and learn. When taking action, leaders across the campus, including the faculty senate chair, turn to labeling our students as a mob when they attempted to voice their concerns. This is unacceptable. Despite the promises and commitments outlined in the presidential strategic plans, particularly in diversity, equity, and inclusion, the reality reflects the lack of protection and safety for MSU students of color. MSU has failed to deliver on the DEI promises made to implement the strategies outlined in the strategic plans. The NAACP urges Michigan State University Board of Trustees to develop safe spaces and to adopt a zero tolerance plan against racial motivated terrorism. I would like to publicly thank Trustee Board Chair Dr. Rima Vassar for her leadership and for being a champion for students, the underserved, and a true champion of justice. She has heard the cries of MSU students and has been very progressive with assisting Black and Brown students with navigating through their anxiety and mental distress. Thank you, Chair Vassar, for always speaking truth to power. And we urge the other trustees and administrators to get involved and truly hear the cries of all MSU students and be prepared to stand up and speak out and to address student.
Yvonne, we're going to have to, I appreciate your comments, but we have run over, so I'm going to move to our next speaker. And again, thank you for your comments this morning. Our next speaker is Joshua Mills, followed by Bintu G. Joshua, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I was wondering if it would be okay if I am seen for this.
No, there is no sort of video capability, but please proceed with your comments.
Good morning. My life has been profoundly affected and threatened by this university. My name is Joshua Mills. I'm 36 years old and a medical student at the MSU College of Human Medicine. For over 6 years, I've been living with HIV, an incurable infection that without treatment causes certain death. I have been pushed to openly disclose this sensitive topic to elicit appropriate action from university-level leadership. MSU requires health profession students be enrolled in appropriate health insurance. My treatment is paid for by a Michigan Medicaid health plan. For years, if a student has other insurance, they submit a waiver through a third-party vendor. In August, many who had waived the insurance were enrolled anyway without notice, resulting in disenrollment from our primary insurances. I first became aware on October 16th when I received notice from my Medicaid health plan. I immediately notified college and university staff. The response was ineffective. Furthermore, the specialty pharmacy I work with refused delivery of my meds due to lack of insurance coverage. This severe error and ineffectual response ripped away my access to the only thing keeping me alive. I enrolled in the College of Human Medicine, giving of my life to be a physician, to give life to others the way it has been given to me. It is sickeningly ironic that I must advocate to this university I attend, struggling against its systems for my own continued access to life itself. Please do not miss the incredible moral failing here. Due to Dr. Glossmacher's new role as interim EVPA, under his leadership, the bleeding of this profound systemic error occurring in August is just now being staunched, though it remains ongoing for myself and too many of my classmates. Within the authority allotted them, the College of Human Medicine leadership's response has been generous and swift since I first made them aware in October. They have been heartfelt and amazing. However, their advocacy to university-level leadership pre-Dr. Glossmacher was met with ineffective responses, moving far slower than the HIV in my body would without these meds. On fear of sickness and death over the last 2 months, I have spent countless hours circumnavigating the university, working directly with the entities involved. This has impacted my mental and physical health as well as my academic performance. Without my personal contingencies and advocacy outside university-level administration, I would currently have an unsuppressed HIV infection, endangering my life. I emphasize HIV works far faster than this university has. The impact and the consequences of this negligence have been profound. Firstly, I'm asking for transparency. I want to know that there are legal and financial consequences to mistakes at this level. I want to know that these clearly broken and dangerous systems are made safe for those of us who cannot guarantee our own well-being without uninterrupted access to healthcare. At this point, we students can no longer trust the university to care for us effectively. This injustice cannot continue another year, another semester, even another month. Secondly, I am demanding acknowledgement, accountability, apology, but more importantly, I am demanding a seat at the table moving forward. As the university makes its next decisions regarding our healthcare, I want a voice representing students like me who frankly at this point need me to be there.
Joshua, thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Bintu Jai, followed by Missy Chola. Bintu, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good morning, and please proceed with your comments.
Good morning. The only person I would like to address here today is Brianna Scott and Faculty Senate Chair Jack Lipton. Brianna, for someone who decided to start all of this mess with the board, you are one scary individual. You're a liar and you don't care about us. And we all know that the reason this meeting is via Zoom today is because of you. All you continue to do is come up with excuses, and excuses are tools of the weak and incompetent. It's also shameful that as a Black Michigan State University alumni who claims to constantly get bullied and ridiculed, you have a notorious reputation from those who attended MSU during your undergrad experience, and you're known to be a bully yourself. You also support bullying by allowing Faculty Senate Chair Jack Lipton to refer to myself and other Black students who stood up for the mistreatment of Chair Vassar as a mob via Twitter. Mind you, Jack has no intention of apologizing to us after criminalizing us and creating a hostile environment. And I also want to give my profound appreciation to Dr. Rima Vassar for her unwavering commitment to standing up for student rights on campus. Her dedication to fostering a fair and inclusive environment is commendable and has not gone unnoticed. However, Brianna, your alleged past behavior as a bully yourself raises concerns about your ability to champion a positive and inclusive atmosphere. It's also troubling that you've also decided to defend Jack Lipton because it's evident that his sentiments expressed don't align with the views of the individuals he's supposed to represent. As a faculty senate chair representing thousands of teachers, they all do not agree with what he has said. But that's okay because the Higher Learning Commission and the Department of Education are investigating the potential criminalization of students as a matter that demands the university attention as well. However, the university has no intention to look into it as our OIE reports have been denied. Once again, I would like to applaud Dr. Rima for her commendable efforts in advocating for student rights. I believe her leadership and commitment to inclusivity makes her a valuable asset to the university community. However, there are some people on the board who do not deserve to have their position. And that's all I have to say. So I'm going to forfeit my time.
Bintu, thank you very much. Our next speaker is Missy Chola, followed by Michaela Bolton. Missy, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Good morning, and please proceed.
Greetings, everyone. I address you once again today, taking a moment from my life as a student to discuss the shortcomings of this administration and ensuring our protection. Despite numerous meetings and statements, our concerns still seem to fall on deaf ears. Jack Lipton, Faculty Senate Chair. I trust you are well. I want to express my gratitude to you for two reasons. Firstly, thank you for jeopardizing my safety by referring to myself and my peers as a mob in an article that included our faces and names. Your characterization has placed us at significant risk, especially as young, Black, and courageous females exercising our right to voice our concerns. The impact was so severe that my parents, who are 8,000 miles away, called me expressing their concerns about my safety. Secondly, I have to challenge your actions. I have several questions regarding what you communicated to the HLC in your report. Personally, I believe that there are crucial details you seem to have missed out on, and I'm here to bring them to light. I'd also like you all to know that just as Mr. Lipton felt it was important to use his so-called voice, I used mine too, and I also sent a letter to the HLC on my thoughts about how our institution should be run. I definitely said that if I did not see a change within this institution, this would happen, and here we are. I'll start with criterion 1. The institution's mission is clear and articulated publicly. It guides the institution's operations. Well, that's already a clear red flag. But criterion 1C3 states the institution fosters a climate of respect among all students, faculty, staff, and administrators from a range of diverse backgrounds, ideas, and perspectives. You do not respect us by silencing us and allowing constant discrimination against us daily. Slight reminder, no response is a response. Jack Lipton, you did not show a single ounce of respect when you criminalized us to the press. And also, let me just say, if you need a reminder of whether what you did had anything to do with racial bias or not, when we had our meeting with the Board of Trustees, one of the trustees had mentioned that you planned to reach out. Well, that was a lie. Last time I checked, you have not reached out to any of the students you made that comment towards. I hate to say this, Mr. Lipton, trust me, I do, but your level of incompetence on race and what racism really is disgusting and appalling. You say you're an educator, then act like one. Until we get an apology, we will continue to call you out. You all seem to give us this whole talk when you say, oh, we had no idea of what's happening. Well, that is your job, so do better. I don't want to hear anything about we have lives too. I'm a part of the NAACP MSU chapter, and when we had our meeting, that was one of your responses. You know we have lives too, right? We are full-time students. Some students are doing this while working to keep them in school. So for you to tell us that we need to give you guys some grace is ridiculous. Trustee Kelly and Trustee Scott, I'm talking to both of you directly. All we're asking for you to do is show up and fight for the protection of our students. Jack Lipton, once again, is Faculty Senate Chair, the leader of the faculty here. He is the one who speaks on behalf of them by all of his comments about Palestinians and Black students here. Does that mean that students are to transfer his beliefs about the criminality of Black students and Palestinians to all faculty? How are we expected to learn from faculty who believe and see the worst of us? I'm almost done, I promise. Are professors now going to have racial bias when we enroll into their classes, or are they automatically going to give us bad grades or not let us speak because they think we'll cause a scene? I call for a public denouncement of Jack Lipton by the Board of Trustees and administration. And I also call for a public apology from you, Mr. Lipton. If you're willing to have a meeting, I would much appreciate it.
Missy, we are going to have to sort of move on, given sort of the overrun on time. So thank you for your comments. I appreciate that. Michaela Bolton will be our next speaker, followed by Nancy Vella. Michaela, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, indeed. Michaela, please proceed with your comments.
Good morning. I will keep this brief to echo Missy, and Bintu. First, to Jack Lipton, your reference of a mob towards me and my friends shows where your care and compassion for your students stand. You should be proud that we stand and fight for what we believe, rather than preferring that we be silent. Your students of color are part of the student body, and we should be treated as such. You are not the right person for the job, and I hope that you know that we call for your resignation and an apology. Next, I would like to discuss the board's choice to move this meeting to Zoom. We know that you're scared. Is it because of the power of your students, or because you know that you're doing something wrong? Are you scared that your reputation can't take the hit of another meeting like the last? If what you're doing was right, you would have nothing to be scared of. You are adults who cannot take criticism. It's honestly embarrassing. I'm here to remind you once again that your Black students are asking to be protected on this campus. In this last week, finals week, during the midnight scream, the N-word with the hard ER was screamed by white students, and Black students are still demanding something be done. Your state news that you make us pay for released an article with the headline, "Today is Monkey Day. There's a video of an orangutan asking for a banana and throwing the peel, with the video and pictures of your Black students from the last trustee board meeting." And finally, we have faced backlash on Facebook for our annual Black graduation celebration, saying that we should not be allowed to participate in regular graduation because we have our own and because we want to be special. I'm not going to waste your time telling you how harmful these events were, but I will ask you, How can your students of color be expected to succeed and become the global students you claim to be developing when we are not allowed to focus on our education like most students? Y'all are forcing us to put our studies on the back burner to ensure our own safety. As a board, you have failed your students time and time again. We do not feel safe nor like we belong, which goes against everything this school claims to stand for. You all need to engage in discussions with your students of color and learn what you need to do to better serve us, since you claim you don't know, though we have told you time and time again. The longer you allow these racist incidents to go unchecked, allows other students to feel comfortable engaging in these acts. The hurt and pain of your students of color is on your hands, and there are many people who can give you a plan as to how to best support your students, but no one wants to have your conversations. Ask your students of color what they need to do and follow through. Put your money where your mouth is, because we all know that you have it. Before you do anything beyond this campus, you need to ensure your campus's safety and security for students of color. Thank you.
Michaela, thank you. Nancy Bella is our next speaker, followed by Chrissy Svainar. Nancy, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can indeed, Nancy. Please proceed with your comments.
Wonderful. Thank you. My name is Nancy Bella. I'm speaking to the board once again, asking you to reinstate Sanjay Gupta as Dean of the Business School. 16 months ago, one of MSU's most prolific deans in both university academic standing and fundraising was wrongly terminated. The Quinney Manual Report clearly documents that Sanjay was wrongfully terminated by interim President Woodruff. Instead of disciplining her, you handed her the interim president position. This administration's failure to reinstate Sanjay continues to cause damage to his reputation, as well as undue stress to him and his family. This situation could have been easily rectified, but is still unresolved because of the lack of leadership, professional jealousy, and underhandedness by the current administration. It is pathetic how much the political aspirations of certain board members get in the way of doing the right thing and causes them to ignore their fiduciary duty. The dishonesty and destructive behavior that continues to take place in the current administration is disturbing. From the lack of transparency to the infighting for political gain, it is destroying the MSU I knew and loved. The students, the faculty, the alumni, and the taxpayers are the ones being hurt by this bad behavior. This administration and the university as a whole will suffer more embarrassment when the discovery process in the pending lawsuit reveals, among other things, the evidence of the administration's threat of retaliation made against faculty if they cooperated with the investigation of the removal of Sanjay as the Broad Business School Dean. This conduct has no place at Michigan State. You have a chance to make right a horrible wrong. Don't wait for it to all come out in discovery in court and embarrass yourselves and the university once more, and cost the students and this university millions of dollars more in a lawsuit that should have never had to happen if the administration and the Board of Trustees followed university policy and facts. It is time to turn the page and start to act as a cohesive group, fulfilling your fiduciary duty. It takes all of you to listen and support each other. This is not an individual sport. I support all those who are fighting for transparency and honesty and who will reinstate Sanjay Gupta and the reputation of MSU. Only when the board does the right thing will alumni near and far be able to once again be a proud Spartan. Until then, I urge donors to continue to fight with their pocketbooks and withhold contributions. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Our next speaker is Chrissy Svainar, followed by Mervat Hakim. Chrissy, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can indeed. Good morning, and please proceed.
Thanks. Hello, my name is Chrissy Svainar, and I'm a 2003 Broad College graduate. Over the past 20 years, I have remained extremely active with the school, serving as a board member and chairman of the Financial Markets Institute within the Broad School for over 10 years. I have mentored countless Broad students over the years and hired several graduates to work at my firm. I've also been a consistent annual donor to the university. I hope my dedication to the university warrants your full attention today. Through my involvement with the Financial Markets Institute, I worked alongside Dean Sanjay Gupta through his efforts to promote the business school, recruit talent, and raise capital. Over the past 20 years, I have interacted with many MSU faculty, and I have never witnessed a leader work so tirelessly and selflessly for an institution as Dean Gupta. The Broad College and the university as a whole have benefited tremendously from Dean Gupta's leadership and efforts, whether it be in faculty talent, rankings, or dollars raised. This is why I'm here today. I have been sickened to watch this university completely turn its back and destroy the career and reputation of Dean Gupta. Michigan State was thrilled with the benefits and treasure that Dean Gupta delivered, but was so quick to sever ties in the most public and embarrassing forum. And this was done without any regard to the ramifications to a person with the highest of moral codes and the pain to his family. I have written many letters to this board and the interim president pleading for the board to act on the facts presented to them. The time is now. We have a new president announced. Let us give this president a clean slate, finally. The board must take action to right the wrongs of prior administration and put Michigan State on a clean and solid foundation. We will never thrive as a university until we regain our moral compass. Given the release of Quinn Emanuel's independent investigation, there is no question any longer that Dean Gupta was wrongfully dismissed and had his name and reputation unnecessarily dragged through the mud with incorrect facts and lies. We all know it. Why has the board not acted? If the board had 1 ounce of humanity, a public apology would have been issued immediately. Why hasn't this happened? True leaders have the courage to admit when a mistake was made. Secondly, reinstate Dean Gupta into a leadership role within the university as he deserves, and frankly, the university needs. Dean Gupta is an asset to Michigan State. He has only shown himself to have the university's best interests at heart. Even today, he is currently in India promoting Michigan State to potential students and leaders, which shows the kind of man Dean Gupta is. Take this moment we have, a moment of change, a fresh start, and finally act like a board that has the students, faculty, and alumni's best interests at heart. Publicly apologize to Dean Gupta and reinstate him in a leadership position within the university. It's not too late to do the right thing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Chrissy. Our next speaker is Mervat Hakeem, followed by Taylor Greason. I don't believe Mervat is with us right now, but Taylor, I believe you are. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can indeed. Good morning, Taylor, and please proceed with your public comments.
Good morning. My name is Taylor, and I'm a senior at Michigan State studying political science and pre-law. I was born and raised in Lansing, and for as long as I can remember, my biggest dream was to come to the school. I was born at the hospital that is approximately 4 miles up the road from campus, the same hospital where my classmates were taken to for treatment after being attacked in class. A room that we pay to be in, that we pay to learn in, but as we saw on February 13th, our payments to the school did not pay to keep us safe. As a transfer student and a social science kid, my first ever class at Michigan State was in Berkey Hall. I spent countless hours and days in that building. Some days I was there more than my actual home. This includes the time I spent in that building just 4 hours before the first email was sent out. Berkey Hall was my home. And notice how I said was, as it is not anymore. Nowadays, I spend just as much time, if not more, avoiding that building. I don't see that building as a place where I met some of my closest friends. I see that as the building they barricaded themselves in. I don't look at that building and think about how I received a career-changing email in classroom 104. I look at that building as a place where 2 beautiful people were murdered in. I can go on and on how I view that building, but I'm only given 3 minutes to speak. So to the board members, why is it so important for you to open this building again? It hasn't even been a year, and not that a year means anything other than 365 days, but my question to you is why? You've already reopened the union. It took you 2 months to do so. Actually, it took you less than 2 months to open it again. But what you did was build a wall to hide where the food court was. Is that what you're going to do in Berkey? Are you going to build walls around classrooms that my classmates were murdered in? Do you honestly think putting up walls is going to make us students forget what happened behind them? Because I haven't forgotten. Every day since February 13th, I have felt like this school has put a timeline on my grief, and I'm sorry that all of the classes I have taken here is yet to teach me how to manage a life after a mass shooting. There isn't a single class you can make me take that would believe reopening Berkey is okay, because it's not and it won't ever be. Other schools have waited years before reopening buildings where tragedy happened. Some have even torn down and rebuilt the buildings, but not Michigan State. They want to put up a few walls, add locks that should have been there to begin with, and go back to life as if nothing ever happened. I'm here to remind you that something did happen, and 3 Spartans will never walk this campus ever again, nor will they be home for Christmas next week. Let us heal without a countdown. Let us decide when and if we ever want classes to resume in that building. The students of the school and the supporters supporting us is what makes us Spartan strong, not whatever point or reasoning this board is trying to prove by forcing us to return back to a place where we lost 2 of us 10 months ago. If you genuinely care and want what's best for us, keep that building closed.
Thank you, Taylor. Our next public speaker will be Saylor Reinders, followed by Addison Kolatz. Saylor, have you been able to connect?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can indeed. Good morning, and please proceed with your remarks.
Good morning. My name is Saylor Reinders. I'm a junior at MSU and an organizer with Students Demand Action on campus. Last week, my friend Maya and I created a survey to gauge student opinion on the reopening of Berkey Hall because we found out that there would be no hybrid or Zoom option for students with classes there. We were extremely upset by the lack of consultation by MSU with the student body regarding the reopening. Our survey received 592 responses, and 77.2% of respondents said that they do not think that Berkey should reopen for classes for the spring semester. 10.1% said they are not sure, and 12.7% said that it should reopen for classes. Additionally, when asked if the school consulted their feelings about the reopening, 97.6% of respondents answered that they were not consulted. This was extremely frustrating to hear because decisions like these should be rooted in the experiences of survivors and those affected. While some students have expressed that they are ready for the building to reopen for their own healing, many of those students also indicated that returning to Berkey Hall should be a choice. Healing does not look the same for everyone, and the university should be supportive of everyone's journey. After the shooting at Virginia Tech, the university waited 2 years to reopen Norris Hall, and they renovated the building. While the response to mass shootings is incredibly community dependent, I think that we can look to other schools for guidance. I believe our university should take a similar approach to Virginia Tech and wait to reopen the building while renovating it in the process. Before I take the rest of my time to read what students shared in their survey responses, I want to encourage each of you to read through the written responses to the survey that has been shared with you. It is heartbreaking to hear the effect that the reopening is having on students, and I ask you to reconsider offering a hybrid or Zoom option for classes in Berkey next semester, or not opening the hall at all. Here's some responses from students. Thinking about going to class there has kept me up at night. It made me sick to my stomach, honestly. Being back in North Campus in general makes me weary. Disappointment. I understand some people can jump back into things after tragedy, but I feel for those who aren't ready. I had a panic attack because for some of my classes, there was no other option. The university may be ready to clear the slate and move on from this, but students are not. Shocked, terrified, worried. I was honestly really disappointed and scared. I was in Berkey Hall on February 13th, and I'm still dealing with PTSD from that day. I believe that the spring semester will be especially hard for many students as they'll revisit feelings of guilt, fear, and overall sadness as we approach the 1-year mark. I think they should have given it another semester. It hasn't even been 1 year. Walking by Berkey gives me so much anxiety and a rush of emotions as I just relive that day over and over in my head. The thought of a class in Berkey terrifies me, and I dread my classes that don't have a room assignment yet. I'm absolutely mortified to go to my class in Berkey next semester. It is 2 classrooms away from where things happened, meaning every day I will have to walk past the class and imagine the horrific things that happened. I'm not ready and do not feel my teachers will support me when I'm unable to come to class due to the panic attacks it will cause me.
Thank you, Saylor, for your remarks. Addison Kolatz is our next speaker, followed by Amber Olgowen. Addison, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Good morning. Please proceed.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Addison Kolatz, and I am a leader with the student organization Students Demand Action. Our goal on MSU's campus is to end the gun violence epidemic and ultimately keep students and the rest of the Lansing community safer.
Not only am I a third-year student at Michigan State and a second-generation Spartan, I am also a gun violence survivor. This past year, on February 13th, was not my first experience with gun violence. But next semester will be the first time I and other students will be forced to gather and learn in the same building where our peers were murdered less than a year ago. As a student advocate, we have made it our responsibility to ensure the student body are heard and prioritized. With the reopening of Berkey next year, it is clear the Board of Trustees has failed to take students into consideration with this decision. With the news of Berkey reopening, my co-leader, Sailor Reinders, and Maya Manuel, founder of Sit Down MSU, created a survey for students to share their thoughts about returning. As we encourage you to read the survey more in-depthly, here are some responses from students. I just found out about Berkey reopening through the survey, and it made my stomach drop and I almost threw up. I have a required class in that building next semester, and I'm still too afraid to go in. Making students go to class in Berkey so shortly after this tragedy by no means embodies the high ethical standards MSU claims to abide by. It is clear that students across campus are deeply concerned that not only will Berkey be opened so quickly, but the carelessness justified by the board also profoundly undermines the students of MSU and the policies the university claims to support. Becoming a student activist and highly involved with on-campus events, both Sailor and I and many others involved treat the safety of our peers and our community as a full-time job. I urge you to consider our request and fulfill your elected duties as a member of the board by empathizing with the student experience and prioritizing ethical values in your work. Thank you.
Thank you, Addison. Our next speaker is Amber Alguin, followed by Cassidy Howard. Amber, good morning.
Hello, my name is Amber Olguin, and I am an interdisciplinary studies and social science student and on the College of Social Science Dean Student Advisory Council, or DSAC, as well as an e-board member for the Council of Students with Disabilities, CSD. Although I'm representing neither group this morning, only drawing on my experiences in them. Berkey Hall should not open this semester. Berkey is home to the College of Social Science, and it has been documented across several social sciences that students cannot learn when they feel unsafe, and that is harmful in the long run to overall well-being and health to force people into stressful, re-traumatizing situations, especially those with less buffers to stress, such as in oppressed groups and those with pre-existing conditions. In DSAC, we have preferentially called for online and hybrid options based both on our own readiness and our peers, as is our duty in that council. I have met individually with college administration on this issue as well. We have been told that faculty are understanding but are not being provided with the resources necessary to accommodate mandatory online offerings. An RCPD specialist confirmed to me that across universities, online options are the most difficult accommodation to approve. Hearing all of this, CSC's ASMSU representative wrote a bill that unanimously passed, calling for online and hybrid options in Berkey and the Union this spring, citing the difficulties faced by many in accessing diagnosis and accommodations for PTSD in a timely manner. I am lucky that due to an accommodation for an unrelated reason that my class in Berkey was relocated, others are not. Personally, I have faced panic attacks and trauma responses in response to the shooting on February 13th and do not think that it will be conducive to learning for it to open. I understand that there's logistical problems with it being closed, but we are not ready. We might be Spartan strong, but that does not mean we are unbreakable. Thank you.
Thank you, Amber. Our next speaker is Cassidy Howard, followed by Charlotte Plutsky. Cassidy, are you on the Zoom?
I am. Can you hear me all right?
We can indeed. Please proceed with your remarks.
Hello and good morning. My name is Cassidy Howard, and I am a sophomore in journalism here. I would love to believe that telling you not to open Berkey Hall would do anything, because our school was the site of a tragedy less than a year ago, and yet you are expecting the friends and classmates of murdered students to go back to the site with next to no complaints. But recognizing the revenue brought in by this building, I know asking for us to be prioritized over your budget is not what you want to hear, nor is it likely what you will listen to. So instead, I'm asking what happened to the $500,000 put aside from the $2 million donated to the Spartan Strong Fund that was set to be dedicated towards mental health. The original release said that we would receive information soon, and 8 months later, there is still a complete lack of communication. There is a mental health crisis on this campus as a result of the shooting, and you are not doing near what you believe that you are. You preach that you tell us that you are doing so much about mental health, and yet there are next to no resources. If you are expecting us to go back into Berkey, then you have to be equipped for the mental toll that that will take. And I am letting you know that you are not equipped at all, because you are not even handling the current tolls. We are directed to CAPS for every issue, despite CAPS telling us that they are likewise, quote unquote, not equipped to handle trauma. Following the events of February, I was left alone to handle a friend actively struggling with self-harm because CAPS was of no use. We had to rely on a parent an hour off of campus to help us because nothing on your campus did. I recognize fully that this is a business and that more class spaces will assist revenue, but when we begin to fail classes because of being unable to keep up with the mental burden without your support, that will hurt your revenue infinitely more than opening this building helps. I used to believe you saw my classmates and I as walking dollar signs, but seeing as your pockets weighing a fraction less causes you more suffering than our pain, I know that that's not the truth. We are still processing. We are still healing. Some are just starting to heal. I cannot stress enough that we are not getting the support needed as it is, let alone the support that would be needed when this hall reopens. Would you be willing to move your offices into that building to face those classes every day? If your desk could be placed where my classmates' blood was on the floor, how would you feel? There are low-cost ways to help support us. I have done the research, and I will gladly speak to anyone who would like information. Again, my name is Cassidy Howard, but it is 10 months later, and I am still slowly watching my friends and my classmates die because of February the 13th. I cannot lose anybody else. The Spartan community cannot lose anybody else. You can keep us from losing anybody else. Do better. Be better. Help us. Thank you.
Cassidy, thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Charlotte Plotsky, followed by Michael Balow. Charlotte, are you with us?
I am, thank you.
Morning.
So my name is Charlotte Plotsky. I am a senior communication and music double major. I'm here today to call the Board of Trustees to divest their funds from Israel and weapons manufacturers due to the genocide happening in Palestine. MSU owes it to protect their students in the minority and protect Palestinians, protect Jewish people, and protect people of color on this campus. And I am a white cisgender woman, and I see how they are treated, and it absolutely breaks my heart. I am calling you to listen to them, to meet with them, to follow up with them, and to stop funding genocide. And my next point is to not reopen Berkey Hall. I have had to miss class this semester because of panic attacks, and I don't even go into Berkey Hall. I had a class in Wells, and I heard about the Maryland shooting, and I had to take like 2 days off of school because of the mental turmoil it causes me. Gun violence is seemingly never ending in this country. So even if there, which isn't going to happen, but even if there were no more shootings ever, being in Berkey Hall is just it's too much. It is too much, and it is too soon. Again, people were murdered there, not even like just 10 months ago. There is no reason that we should be forced to go to class there. I already believe that being forced to go to class on this campus is ableist, but having it in that building is absolutely absurd. And I'm so disappointed that it has come to this, for us begging you not to have class there. We had classes online for over 1.5 years due to the COVID pandemic. There are ways to allocate and to accommodate for your students. Your students are begging you not to do this. So please do not force kids to go to class in Berkey Hall. I yield my time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charlotte. Our next speaker is Michael Balow, followed by Kayla Williams. Mike, are you on the Zoom? Mike, are you with us? Okay.
Oh, you just unmuted me. Are we good?
Yep, we hear you now, Mike. Please proceed.
Hey, I'd like to begin by thanking the board for completing the recent presidential hire. Incoming President Guskowicz seems well qualified and is certainly coming into this with his eyes wide open. I wonder if he's listening right now. I can now see a path forward to a better future for MSU in 2024, but only if we continue to push for openness and honesty. So why are we meeting remotely today? There are only 7 official meetings per year. Is it because some of you don't want to face those who may be critical of you? Are we afraid of too many students showing up? Is this the quote unquote mob as labeled by Dr. Jack Lipton? Come on now. I'm speaking to all the voters in the state of Michigan today and the millions of people in our state who love this university. Make sure you elect trustees who stand for the truth. I hope after my comments, you have no doubt as to where I stand. For the last several years, MSU has stood alone in its denial of justice. People often bring up the sexual assault scandals at U of M and Penn State, but those universities did not come close to MSU's denial, deflection, and distortion of the truth. I'd like to thank Chair Vassar for providing the much needed leadership to get this done, and Trustee Dennis Steno for having the courage to make a motion in October to release the documents. Thanks to Dr. Rima, MSU has taken a major step forward. In the 4 years under Chair Byram's leadership, this board repeatedly denied and worked against releasing the documents. The survivors who have fought so hard for this are the true heroes. When everyone else forgot about this, they kept pushing for what was right, at great personal cost to themselves, because it's not something that lives in the past for them. They continue to suffer from MSU's abandonment of justice in their case. And not only is it a very current issue for them, it's a current issue for MSU. By doing this, they're helping others by taking another step to ensure MSU is a safe campus. Someday, I hope there's a monument to their courage on this campus, to make it harder for people to conveniently forget. But let's be clear. We see a unanimous vote today, but was it really unanimous? Brianna Scott, what she said in October versus her email from April, where she very tearfully claimed, among other things, that she never voted to suppress the Nassar documents. But a quote from her email to the board in April says, to Chair or Trustee Kelly, who was on the Audit and Risk Committee, from Brianna Scott, what I'm concerned about is that you indicated in this email that you and Trustee Vassar decided to put this issue on the agenda for a vote Friday. Or am I reading your email wrong? If not, when and why was that decision made? The majority of the board indicated very clearly on Monday that we were not in agreement with releasing the privileged documents. Not once was the board asked if we wish for this to go to a vote, nor is it productive to do so. Moreover, the board overwhelmingly didn't approve a statement being made on behalf of the board other than no comment. So I'd like an answer, that's unquote, what changed between April and now, particularly since Scott signed an affidavit on October 27th of 23 that said no discussions on votes were taken at the April 17th meeting. We know things. The truth is out there, it's under the surface, and more needs to come out. But I really appreciate the trustees that had the courage to release the documents today. Thank you.
Mike, thank you. Our next speaker is Kayla Williams, followed by Maisha Brown. Kayla, have you been able to join us? Kayla, if you're there, you might be on mute. Okay, we will move on for now and potentially come back. Maisha Brown, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Good morning, Maisha, and please proceed with your comments.
Hi, good morning. Again, my name is Maisha Brown, and I am a proud MSU alum, graduating with a BA in Social Relations from James Madison College in 1995. My beloved MSU has been marred by several scandals in recent years. When Trustee Scott shared she was considering running for a position on the board, she had my full support. We met on campus during our pursuit of membership in Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. We have known each other for the past 28 years, and she has been a loyal friend, sister, and so much more. She is a highly regarded lawyer, community leader, and dedicated MSU board trustee. Her decision to run for trustee was thoughtful and intentional. Trustee Scott has demonstrated exceptional qualities of honesty and integrity throughout our friendship, her professional career, and service in the community. She believed she could make a difference because of her wealth of legal expertise, strategic insight, commitment to ethical practices, and her love for the university. Because of our relationship, I know her decision to bring forth these allegations was not made impulsively and was the result of careful analysis and reflection. In the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, the time is always right to do what is right. Trustee Scott did the hard thing by bringing to light these behaviors and practices that have been harmful to the board, their ability to conduct business, and their integrity as a unit. Unfortunately, her openness and transparency has inadvertently exposed her to unwarranted attention and harassment, where she has been verbally attacked, questioning her Blackness and her commitment to the MSU community. Trustees are elected officials entrusted to handle the business of the university and do it with integrity and transparency. Once this investigation has concluded, it is my hope that the board will do the right thing and allow the findings to be public. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Donna Pennington, followed by Jonathan Kinlock. Donna, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Good morning, Donna, and please proceed with your remarks.
Thank you. I'm speaking to you this morning in support of Trustee Brianna Scott as a double alumna of MSU and on behalf of her former campaign committee and the Progressive Democratic Women's Caucus of Muskegon County, all of whom worked very hard to send one of our best and brightest to MSU 5 years ago in the aftermath of the Larry Nassar scandal. We sent her to East Lansing to do the right thing to get MSU back on course, to be brave, to be legally sound, to be ethical, and to advocate for our values. We are so proud that Trustee Scott is doing just what we hoped and believed she would do: uphold the highest legal and ethical standards for the MSU Board of Trustees, to address any harmful behavior or wrongdoing, and to fulfill the commitment that this board has made, and I quote, to be more aware and be more responsible. In the light of this commitment that is stated on the board's own website, any unethical behavior or any overreaching of the authority of the board or the chair must be rigorously addressed. Similarly, any effort by the chair or any trustee to intimidate or silence anyone is deeply concerning. It was this very failure of leadership to address reports of inappropriate behavior and conduct that got us to this place we are. A culture of accountability is needed. Please base your actions on the facts and results of the investigation and not on emotion and opinion. It is hard to believe that there is any corroboration of the allegations against Dr. Vassar that this board would not move to remove her as chair. And finally, I would like to thank Trustee Scott for being the kind of trustee we hoped she would be, to speak out in the face of any suspicion or evidence of wrongdoing. The effort to characterize you, Brianna, as racially insensitive or racist is outrageous. I ask the other trustees to support Trustee Scott's efforts and act decisively to restore and preserve the integrity of the MSU Board of Trustees. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Anna, thank you very much. Before we proceed, I've been informed by our IT team that Kayla Williams, I think the technical issues are fixed. So Kayla, I'm hoping that you are able to hear us now.
I can hear you. Can you hear me is the question?
Yeah, 100%. We're all set.
Okay. Perfect.
Please proceed.
Wow, an engineer who can't figure out how to get Bluetooth audio to work. That's embarrassing. Okay. Well, if you told me 3 years ago I'd become a regular attendee at MSU Board of Trustees meetings, I would have been horrified as I contemplated the reason someone would be predicting this fate. After all, I'm not particularly predisposed towards activism or politics. But then you cut the swim and dive teams in 2020, adding insult to injury to many student athletes amid the already challenging conditions of the COVID pandemic. The Battle for Spartan Swim and Dive group was then formed, and my hope was renewed as I saw the numerous different people step up to explore how we could reverse this decision. I'd like to briefly summarize some of our learnings and accomplishments that enabled by the investment in the upcoming Student Health and Wellness Center. I've shared data supporting the following claims at different times in the last 2 years, and I'm happy to share it again for those who are interested if you haven't had a chance to see it. Some of the key points were the high school swim and dive All-American data supports the claim that high school students in Michigan value swimming and diving at a rate higher than the population of the state would lead them to achieve just by chance. They fall into the top 5 for swimming on a population adjusted basis and outright in the top 5 nationally for boys and girls in diving. MSU's own facility use data supports our argument that the new facility as is can more than accommodate sharing lanes to support a swim and dive team without any limitations to providing improved programming for students. A key assumption in this is that the 3 existing indoor pools would be closed in time. Even the removal of these facilities doesn't negatively change the available lane time for students in the new facility. This reinstatement effort has tapped into support from a broad group, including former swim and dive alumni, MSU alumni, community members, national experts, and high school athletes aspiring to next level competition options within the state of Michigan. We've identified $5 million that could be used to help offset the financial aspect of the return of these programs and commitment of both our group and national experts in this field to support the university in enacting a plan the athletic department already has drafted in the event the return of these programs is supported. We look forward to exploring the potential that exists enabled by the commitment to a new recreation facility pool. I realize the board has dealt with a lot of varied feedback and challenges recently. I'm optimistic that releasing the Nassar documents to the AG is a step forward to healing for the MSU community. In all our interactions, I've always also considered Dr. Vassar to be a caring individual concerned with the best interests of MSU and the students here, and I'd like to thank her for her leadership thus far. In closing, I'd like to suggest that we should all aspire to expand the offerings that MSU can provide to their students rather than eliminating opportunities. Falling back on the position that reinstatement of swim and dive is too difficult to be bothered with is counter to Spartan's will. There are many benefits that reinstatement can bring, and we look forward to articulating those to MSU's leadership. MSU, you've taught us well. We look forward to future interactions because we're not going anywhere. Thank you.
Taylor, thank you so much. Our next speaker is Jonathan Kinlock, followed by Paulette Walker. However, I don't believe that Jonathan has joined us at this stage, so we will move to Paulette Walker. Paulette, are you with us? And Paulette, if you may be on mute. Okay, we'll sort of move on for now. Our next speaker is Denise Young, followed by Latasha Gary. Denise, can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Denise. Please feel free to proceed with public comment.
Again, my name is Denise Young. I'm a 1996 graduate of Eli Broad College of Business, and a 1999 graduate of what used to be the Detroit College of Law at Michigan State, which is now the Michigan State Law School. I'm also a Black woman, and I'm here in support of Brianna Scott. I've known Brianna for almost 30 years, and I'm here to speak to her character. Brianna has always been a woman of integrity and dignity, and her treatment lately for her attempts to shed light on the darkness that has been going on within the Board of Trustees, frankly, has been reprehensible. I think the only focus should be on finding the truth. The focus, there's been way too much emphasis on Black and white. This is not a racial issue. This is a truth issue. And Brianna is only standing up for what she believes is to be right. I applaud her for speaking truth to power. Two things can be true at once. Rima can be a Black woman and she can also do wrong. And the end goal should be to find out whether or not she committed a wrong. So again, the focus should not be on race. It should be on finding the truth. So I stand with Brianna, and I hope that the MSU board will continue to investigate and seek the truth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Denise. We will next go to, I think Paulette Walker may be on, if I am looking correctly. So let's see, Paulette, have you joined us? Yeah, there still might be a couple of technical challenges, so we will.
Can you hear me now?
Paulette, I had a bad notion of me hearing myself. So yes, you are on, and yes, please proceed with your 3 minutes of public comment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I have been on all the time. I'm not sure if everybody could have heard me. However, I am, like I said, my name is Paulette Walker. I am a graduate of Michigan State from 1965 to 1969. I graduated in 1969. I too am speaking on behalf of Brianna Scott to say that two things. One, this is not a racial issue. It is not about a Black woman versus a Black woman. It is not, by all means, definitely not a sorority issue. As the 25th national president of Delta Sigma Theta sorority, please do not include Delta Sigma Theta sorority in any conversation that anybody has. This is not a sorority issue, and nor is it a racial issue. It is, in fact, a trustee issue, and one that should be handled as one trustee to another trustee. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak. I truly appreciate it. But again, it is neither a racial issue nor is it a sorority issue. Thank you so much again. Thank you.
Thank you, Paulette. Much appreciated. Our next speaker is Latasha Gary, followed by Tamara Sanford. Latasha, are you with us on the Zoom?
I am. Thank you very much.
Morning.
My name is Latasha Gary. I'm an alumni of MSU, class of 96. I'm currently a licensed professional counselor and wanted to address the board today. I've been watching the events unfold with what started as really just mere disappointment, but now has turned to disgust. And what I'm specifically disappointed in is the vitriol and condemnation that I've seen directed toward Trustee Brianna Scott for simply bringing an issue to light that could have very adversely affected our university. I think that what has happened is that the issue has gotten marred now by this race issue. Generally, those who do not have a case will have to rely on something that is other than what was brought up in the argument. And what has been brought up was something very serious. And if we had not brought it up, if Brianna had not taken the time to bring it up and been transparent, a news article could have written it, another university could have written it, someone else could have brought it up, and we could have been in really dire circumstances as a university. I personally know Brianna Scott and know her to be one who has always sought after the truth. She has always gone after, like a pit bull, to seek what is the truth and how can we act in the best and most upright manner. And so this does not surprise me that she was the one that brought these allegations to light. I'm actually ashamed that more board members have not applauded her willingness to bring transparency to the situation and have not publicly stood up for her and said that this is not right. I saw a video that showed people literally protesting outside of her establishment, but not against the person who the allegation was brought against, which I found very unusual. I won't say why I think that might have occurred, but I don't think that that was on the part of the people who were standing in front of that building. I hope that the silence does not indicate that the board is unwilling to share publicly what has gone on. And when the investigation is finalized, that the report is not shared broadly so that the allegations can be handled appropriately. I thank you all for your time. I just simply wanted to stand for someone who I saw standing for the truth, and I had to take this time to do that. Thank you so much for your listening.
Natasha, thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is Tamara Sanford, followed by Marty Vanderplow. Tamara, can you hear me?
Yes, can you all hear me?
We can indeed. Good morning, Tamara, and please proceed.
Thank you so much. Hello and good morning. My name is Tamara Sanford, and I'm a Michigan State alumni. I graduated in 1996 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Journalism and Education. I'm here to speak on behalf of Trustee Brianna Scott. I've known Trustee Scott for almost 30 years. She is one of the most genuine, honest, and trustworthy people I know, and she has very, very high integrity. Another trustee that's currently under investigation has started a smear campaign against her as a form of bullying. Trustee Scott, for what is doing what's right and asking questions that others were afraid to ask. This disgraced trustee is trying to make this a Black thing when it boils down to really doing the right thing. This power-hungry trustee has referred to MSU as a mom and pop shop, and as an alumni, I take offense to her antics. As a graduate of Michigan State University, I can't sit by and allow unethical people to hold a position of power. Vassar needs to resign. The board needs to revisit the code of conduct and uphold it with a zero tolerance policy, especially when it comes to defamation and bullying of another trustee. As an alumni, I ask, once this investigation against Vassar is over, that the findings are made public. Let the truth be known. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much, Tamara. Our next speaker is Marty Vanderplow, followed by Candace Montgomery. Marty, are you with us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can indeed. Good morning, and please proceed with your public comment.
Good morning, and thank you, Stefan. I'm an alumni, donor, and recent member of the MSU Presidential Search Committee. I have only recently become engaged with the university community, and therefore I bring an outsider's point of view. During the search process, I was able to talk with numerous people across the university community. I have no agenda other than seeing the university I love recover from recent events and continue being a great public university. My primary observation is that there is a systemic lack of trust between the MSU community and the Board of Trustees. A common theme I encountered was a perceived lack of transparency. There was also a consistent concern about board overreach. Finally, and most concerning, was the reluctance of some to voice their concerns for fear of reprisal. In my opinion, the top priority for the Board of Trustees is to rebuild the trust of the MSU community. This will likely require very significant change. In my experience with boards, situations arise that need to be dealt with in a public setting and often require outside intervention. Obviously, Trustee Scott felt that this was the case to the extent that she opened herself up to intense public criticism and alienation. I applaud her courage and commitment to Michigan State University. Moving forward, it is very important that we treat the investigation process fairly and do not pass judgment until the investigation brings the facts to light. I believe that the results of this investigation must be made public. My hope is that the trustees hold each other accountable and step up and make whatever changes are necessary for the good of the university and ultimately for the good of the students. Thank you.
Thanks, Marty. Our next speaker is Candace Montgomery, followed by Hadil Ross. Candace?
Yes, can you all hear me?
We can indeed. Good morning, and please proceed.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. My name is Candace Montgomery. I'm more affectionately known by Dr. Can by Trustee Bassar, which is who I'm speaking on behalf of today. I'm honored to have the opportunity to be speaking here. I first had the honor of meeting Trustee Bassar in 2019, where her and Dr. Clyde Barnett came to my high school, and I was picked out with a handful of other students to form a group called the Student Plug, which changed the remaining course of my high school experience. Dr. Raymond has given me so many opportunities to speak on and educate others about the system as she did me, but most importantly, she made me an expert on the topic of anti-Blackness, which is why I am sitting here speaking to you all today. I will not hesitate to speak on her behalf because she has done nothing but speak on mine. To Trustee Brianna Scott, I am so sorry that you cannot see the fact that you are being used as a vessel of anti-Blackness. I have read through the reports, I have watched the videos and the interviews, I have read every single article that is doing exactly what the media does best, villainizing Black women. Now, Trustee Scott, I did see a quote of you once stating that you believe Dr. Raymond was going to lead you all extraordinarily into this next phase as you all go into some very important decision-making with the new presidential search and other things coming up. And now that you have masterminds who are white behind you, does that statement no longer stand? Are you so clouded by the judgment and opinions of your white colleagues and superiors that you have truly begun to believe that Dr. Raymond is a bully? Do you sit here and not think twice about how 7 articles could be written using very intentional language to describe her as an aggressive person? Our Governor Gretchen Whitmer and our Senator Debbie Stabenow took the time out of their very busy schedules to comment on this matter, but they have not been able to take the time out of their schedules to address the low graduation rates for Black students at MSU, and yet you still give crocodile tears and cannot recognize that you are being used as a shield for them to hide behind, a pawn whose purpose is to protect them from the anti-Blackness allegations. The lack of solidarity in this situation is disheartening, and I want to make it known that they would turn around and do the same thing to you in a heartbeat. The minute that you step outside of their comfort zone of what a Black woman in a position of power should be doing. I see all the students who have turned up on her behalf, and I am now proud to be one of them. I find it interesting that a big part of the letter requesting for Dr. Raymond's removal was based off of ethical violations, yet the many scandals that MSU has had recently and how they were handled have not been called into play. There is no such thing as having a good ethical compass when you are part of upholding the white supremacy and maintaining a space with so little diversity. And yet Dr. Raymond's ethics and morals are being called into play because she dared to disagree with the board and step outside the guidelines that they place for Black women. I am so very proud of her for standing her ground, and I will come back to defend her as many times as I need to, as many times as my voice is needed, and as many times as my voice can make a difference. I hope you all take something away from my brief statement and rethink this very planned out and targeted decision and strategy. Thank you.
Thank you, Candace. Our next speaker is Hadil Ross, followed by Ava Anderson. Hadil, can you hear us?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hadil, good morning, and please proceed.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. As an Arab student at MSU, this university is acting directly against my interests by investing in weapons manufacturers that fund the genocidal state of Israel. Annually, MSU invests $479,006 in Lockheed Martin Corporation, $256,459 in Northrop Grumman, $2,050,686 in Boeing. These corporations have profited off the murder of 23,000 innocent Palestinians. For reference, that is larger than the capacity of the Breslin Center, which is 15,000 people. Take a moment and envision the entire Breslin Center full of people and add 8,000 more people to that. Now envision all of those people dead. By investing in these weapons corporations, MSU profits off of the massacre that you just envisioned. What I have come to learn during my time here at MSU is that this university is firstly a business that prioritizes profits over everything else. MSU's responsibilities as an academic institution come secondary to profits. But what the board fails to understand is that a university requires students to be a university. Recently, my friend texted me telling me she is considering pursuing a master's degree at MSU and asked for my opinion of the university. Without hesitation, I told her to avoid MSU at all costs. I told her to attend a university where the administration actually cares about the demands of their students. I told her that this university breeds colonial ideals, meaning hate, white supremacy, and cultural intolerance. It is absolutely repulsive that MSU is spending $38 million on a multicultural center to represent culturally diverse students, while simultaneously funding the colonization and brutal genocide of Indigenous people worldwide. If you really cared about cultural representation, you would use that $38 million to empower and protect students of color. Building a cultural showcase does nothing to uplift students of those cultures. It only serves to mask your institutional racism. But don't worry, we will make sure to post flyers of MSU's support for Indigenous slaughter next to the exhibits. Like many white colonial institutions, MSU wears ethnic diversity as a badge of honor, specifically choosing students of color to post advertisements with so everyone can see what an inclusive university this is. But that is the full extent of MSU's inclusivity, just a photo on the cover of a pamphlet. Students of color are nothing but marketing tools used to bring in more profits. An MSU student was murdered in Gaza, Tariq Tabet, and you funded his killing. Not even in your own student's murder will you call for a ceasefire. How disgusting and shameful. I demand that MSU decolonize itself from the inside out. This means MSU divests all of its investments from weapons manufacturers that kill Indigenous Palestinians abroad. I also demand that every inch of MSU land that has been torn from the Indigenous Anishinaabe tribe be immediately returned to its rightful community. You can use the money you divest from Israel to pay rent to the Anishinaabe tribe. I demand that MSU invest in decolonization efforts globally, including the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund and the Free Palestine Movement. I also demand that MSU invest in debunking misinformation on this campus. This is an institution of education, so do your job and educate. Thank you.
Adil, thank you. Our next speaker is Ava Anderson, followed by Shiv Singh. Ava, are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can indeed. Good morning, Ava, and please proceed with your remarks.
Thank you. I'm a white transgender social work master's student here at Michigan State. I'm also a resident of East Lansing. I wanted to add to the previous speaker's comments and bring up the precedent that has been set by the Board of Trustees. Michigan State University was one of the first universities to divest from South African apartheid in 1978 to 1980. They sold $8.5 million of stock in 13 different companies. So we know that the Board of Trustees is responsible for the investments, and we know that MSU is profiting from genocide. This rings in our heads after every statement that you make about hate has no home here, and we profit from genocide. Spartans will profit from genocide. We support our students, and we profit from genocide. Something that's happening in Israel right now, as Israel has made clear that they intend to settle Gaza, to commit genocide so that they can take over that land. There's the question of how can you have a holy land on a mass grave? How can you build a safe place for your children on the graves of other children? We know that Michigan State University is an educational institution that is on stolen land. You call this the Pioneer Land Grant Institution. We call it for what it is, the Morrill Act, the Homestead Act, Treaty of Saginaw. They're colonialist, genocidal land grabs, which then raises the question, what is education provided by a war machine? What is trauma-informed care provided by a war machine? What is DEI provided by a war machine? What are the root causes of school shootings in a war machine? Next, in my last minute, I wanted to bring up one aspect of coloniality that I've noticed in the last few hours as so many of us come to the Board of Trustees, presenting these issues, demanding that you do something of them. Colonial power structures love to consolidate power at the very top. We know that the Board of Trustees are probably feeling right now this is too much, they can't handle it. That is by design, and we understand that. The lack of trust for students in this institution is baffling. So I urge the administration to do everything possible to decentralize power. There are a lot of ideas that have been brought up in these meetings. I stand in solidarity with the survivors of Nasser, with Joshua, who spoke about the difficulty receiving HIV care. I actually work at Lansing Area AIDS Network, which can be a resource for your institution. I, 'cause Thank you.
Hey, Ava, thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Shiv Singh. Shiv, are you on the Zoom?
Yes, I am. Could you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good morning, and please proceed with your comments.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Let me take this opportunity to thank you all for your service. And this institution has been in a news for all the wrong reasons, even though in the past this was led by some of the legendary leaders like John Hanna from Peter McPherson, but after him, I think we have fallen off. And to you, the trustees, I want to say, just as the oceans remains undisturbed by the non-stop flow of waters from rivers merging into it, likewise the leaders who remain steadfast amidst the surrounding external clamor achieve resolute outcomes and not the ones who strives to satisfy their desires. So please keep that in mind. Honorable trustees, the reason I want to talk to you about today is one of the issue which is very important to Indian American community, and that is the issue of Dr. Sanjay Gupta. His honor, respect, and dignity was ruined by an email and some bogus investigation. And I have privileged to know him for last 10 years, and I have served with him many times. He exemplifies the highest ethical standards and always show his utmost integrity in all situations. He played a pivotal role in establishing your business school, and he was not treated well. So I would say he deserved better, and he deserves better. And I would say about him that it is better to live your own destiny imperfectly than to live an imitation of somebody else's life with perfection. So you have the right to work, but never to the fruit of work. You should never engage in action for the sake of reward, or nor should you long for an action. So Dr. Gupta, he embodies these virtues in his personal and professional life. In the end, I would like to say to you that you have been elected and some are appointed as the custodians of this great institution. It is your duty to uphold what is just and restore the honor and dignity of Dr. Dean Gupta by reinstating him to his position. It is never too late to do the right thing, and you have the power to do that right thing. You know, you have the right to perform your prescribed duties, but you're not entitled to the fruit of your actions. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results for your activities, nor the test to the inaction. So please do the right thing. You have the power, and start with the clean slate and give the better environment for our upcoming president. I thank you for your time, and I know you're going to do the right thing.
Shiv, thank you so much. Our final commenter, I understand Angelica Martinez McGee has resolved her technical issues from earlier. So Angelica, I believe you, are you with us?
Hello.
Yes, good morning. I think you've resolved the technical difficulties now. So if you'd like to proceed with your public comment, that would be fine.
Yes, I hear you now. Okay. Thank you. Hello, my name is Angelica Martinez McGee. I am a sister survivor, and I'm here with my sisters to use our voices and faith to stand up for justice. Today is a day that we have been dreaming of for the last 5 years. I want to take a moment to thank God and his son Jesus for showing us the straight path, delivering us to this moment. The one thing I had prepared for today is a symbolic gesture. Over the weekend, I found a Bible, small, unused, and containing the New Testament, Proverbs, and Psalms. Starting today, I will be reading all 633 pages over the next months. This is a deliberate use of my faith as a tool as we approach the future. As the future passes, I will bear witness to the words and actions of MSU and the Board of Trustees, and I'll continue to ask our Lord Is this the justice you have promised us? How much harder will the 27 and supporters have to fight to even read these release documents? With a unanimous yes vote from the board, you would think not much. But then I heard the voices and cries of MSU students and alumni. I listened to every speaker today, and I asked the Lord, what does the future hold for them? A 5-year waiting period and then justice? No, I know my God. To the Board of Trustees, no matter how hard you fight every scandal, you must remember that you cannot hide the truth and you cannot escape justice. To every student, faculty, and victim, remember these words. My faith is fighting for you, and God will deliver you just as he has delivered us. I end with these words, Shalom, Shalom, which means perfect peace. And I now dedicate the remaining time to our sisters who have struggled with depression, suicide, and the victims of the MSU shooting. Thank you for the time.
Angelica, thank you very much. I do want to thank the IT team and my colleague Jackie Vandenbosch for their help managing obviously the lengthy public comment this morning. And Interim President Woodruff, that concludes public comment on items not germane to the agenda.
Thank you, Board Secretary Fletcher. I now call upon Chairperson Rima Vassar to present the liaison report, Chairperson's report, and trustee comments.
Good afternoon. We will have our students give their student liaison reports, starting with ASMSU. Emily?
Hi, everyone. Is my audio all good to go? All right, perfect. For those of you who have not had the privilege of meeting yet, my name is Emily Hoyempa, and I'm the ASMSU and MSU undergraduate student body president. A lot has changed since we were all together, so here are some updates on my end. Also, I'm getting a little sick, so don't mind my voice. As we wrap up this semester, ASMSU has passed 42 bills and continued collaborating with numerous administrators. We continue to work with VP Lynch on campus safety and ensuring Alex, Ariel, and Brian are remembered in justice and healing. Next, we are continuing to work with Dr. Travis and CAPS on student mental health and pushing those resources out to more Spartans. With that, ASMSU is also continuing to work with VP Bruglis to work on Title IX, RVSM, OCR reporting, and ADP hate speech, as well as making sure those resources to report and call out injustices on this campus are more accessible than they are right now. And last but not least, ASMSU has been meeting with Interim Provost Yaitzko and Interim President Woodruff for student concerns in and outside the classroom. With all of that being said, ASMSU has had quite the semester. However, we love the work we do and want to continue this work for all Spartans, and will continue to do so alongside other university stakeholders and partners. For items pertinent to the agenda, it is years too late, but it is a step in the right direction that the Nassar documents have been released. ASMSU is grateful to the board and its members who voted in favor of releasing documents because it shows that MSU is finally taking accountability to support its survivors. Releasing the documents should not have taken this long, and I hope the board understands the damage this has inflicted on the sister survivors and has now offered a path of healing. I would also like to uplift a couple of student voices regarding the reopening of Berkey Hall. No student should feel pressured to return to class if they are uncomfortable, and I wanted to share some of the thoughts that people have told me. A friend of mine, a history major in the College of Social Science, has 3 classes in Berkey Hall next semester that are only being offered in Berkey, and that there was no communication from the university gauging how students felt about this return. Something that was said to me was, if I had the opportunity to do so, I would switch my classes and make sure I do not have classes in Berkey until I'm ready to. I think a quote that best sums up this predicament is from one of my professors next semester, where she said, if you are not comfortable attending classes in Berkey Hall, please consider dropping this course rather than struggling with either mental health issues or your course grade. I think if this is a decision we have for a situation to affect the path of one's academic career, affect one's mental health, or affect one's academic success, it has to be realized that there is a problem. Along with that, one of the public commenters mentioned it earlier, but the writer of ASMSU Bill 6037 to advocate for online options for classes held in buildings impacted by February 13th for the spring semester of 2024 and beyond has shared with me, for people affected by trauma, re-entering triggering spaces can cause significant negative effects to their mental and physical health. As students, we put trust in you to have, as students, we put our trust in you to have our safety, health, and well-being at the center of every decision you make. Reopening Berkey Hall without any support for people who are not ready is only a glaring accessibility issue, but a clear and present risk to the safety and well-being of a university as a whole. The unanimous passage of my bill should give a good indication as to how the student body truly feels about this decision. Another glaring issue MSU needs to address is how the university provides intentional support for its marginalized students and students of color. In the 2030 MSU strategic plan, MSU values the importance of diversity along with inclusivity, safety, and belonging. However, there does not seem to be any action to truly uphold these values. Our Black students have voiced the discrimination and bias they have voiced MSU administration, yet are still facing discrimination as recently as yesterday from the state news, which is completely unacceptable. The university also needs to make sure it's uplifting our Palestinian, Israeli, Arab, Muslim, and Jewish voices as anti-Semitism, anti-Arab hate, anti-Palestinian hate, and Islamophobia have been growing across the world. The lack of acknowledgement of these struggles marginalized and students of color have been facing shows that the values mentioned above are not being upheld by the board and the university as a whole. Students of all backgrounds should not be coming to me that they don't feel safe, represented, or belong at MSU. Everyone at this university needs to approach problems and concerns with an equitable lens and solution, rather than thinking they already know what's going to be best for them. Even with that, when the problems are acknowledged, no one is actually stating the lack of equity and safety already present here. So once again, do better, be better, and please simply make an effort to listen and take action rather than pawning it off on the students to handle it themselves. As I said at the October board meeting, to the board and whoever else is listening, please actually listen to student leaders and those who are publicly commenting. With everything going on, people seem to forget that many here, the student leaders on this campus, are actually students first. We came here to get a degree, and once again, not to be trained in crisis management. I can only bring up so many issues and concerns, and with that, a lot of the issues I brought up are simply because my fellow Spartans do not have the representation here to do so. We have and will continue to ask for a student vote, and we will also continue to push for Cores and COPS liaison seat to the board, because if you're not doing your job and representing us, who will? Last but not least, I wanted to congratulate President-elect Dr. Gustwitz as the 22nd president of MSU. I am optimistic that MSU will be entering into MSU tomorrow, and I hope the board agrees with this sentiment. As we welcome a new president to East Lansing on March 4th, I hope this is a sign that the board needs to put the drama behind them and truly work for the betterment of the MSU community. I'm still a strong believer that you cannot take care of yourself or someone else, or in this case, the university, if you cannot take care of yourself. And once again, this still holds true to the board. Having a new president provides a pathway for the board to regain trust with its stakeholders, such as the student body, and I'm truly hoping that this will be the case, which will then allow the board to actually take care of MSU. The board and the university should not be harming the university community as a whole, and I hope the board takes time to reflect on what their actions have had on the MSU community this semester. People should be worrying about making sure they graduate and enjoying the college experience, and not making a joke and dealing with every scandal that seems to throw at us every single day. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Emily. Next, we have, I think, Taylor. No, Hannah. I'm sorry. Hannah, you're next.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hey, we can hear you.
Thank you so much. As the president of the Council of Graduate Students, I thought it best to acknowledge a recent piece of legislation that we have put forward for the consideration of Michigan State and for its members beyond. That being said, I would like to acknowledge that this particular piece of legislation was not sponsored by everybody. It was not a unanimous decision. However, the majority has spoken, and so we feel committed to address the issues that students have put forward for us to consider. My report is that COGS is currently planning at its next full council meeting in January to debate the endorsement of the ASMSU resolution that was previously made about the Israel-Hamas war. We are hoping to bring in Jewish student voices because we feel that they have been underrepresented in this conversation. And we feel that one of the main problems is that people are hearing different things when the same words are being said. So a different perspective being offered to this important discussion will be a key asset. Next, COGS has passed a resolution advocating for student safety and mental well-being in the wake of the war in Palestine. In this resolution, the COGS Full Council call upon MSU to officially release a public statement through official university channels, acknowledging the death of our fellow Spartan, Tariq Tabet, and be resolved, COGS will propose that MSU facilitate the organization of a series of talks, workshops, or events in memory of Tariq and his commitment to changing the perceptions about the people in Palestine. These activities can be targeted towards educating participants on settler colonialism, Islamophobia, anti-Arab hate, anti-Semitism, liberation, freedom, indigenous communities, religion, etc. That being said, COGS does plan to assist MSU in such endeavors. We realize that there are a lot of problems. I think that it is very commendable that we are starting to talk about it openly. And I really just wish all of you guys the best. And I also hope that, when I was younger, my friends got into this really, really long argument that spanned the course of several months. And we ended up dividing into 3 different camps, those that were on one side, those on the other side, and those in the middle that had no opinion. And it ended with a shouting match at our final event, and it left me in tears and unable to look at my friends in the face. All I can tell you is that the only thing that really healed was time and separation. So I'm hoping that this can be a very restorative and relaxing Christmas time for us all. Kwanzaa time, Hanukkah time, etc. I know I'm missing at least one, sorry. I sincerely hope that this is a time when peace may take over the world, and we may see the beauty again of humanity. Thank you very much, and please have a great day.
Thank you, Hannah. You always are so wise. I appreciate your words. We have next up Taylor.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Awesome. Okay. Well, it wouldn't be a Zoom meeting if something didn't go wrong. So, of course, my camera has decided to not cooperate today. But I'm just going to go ahead and roll with it and get into my report. So again, good morning, everyone, members of the MSU community. Really just kind of as we get to a close in the semester, I'm not quite done with my work, unfortunately, but I wanted to kind of update everyone on how RHA has wrapped up the semester. So overall, we've had a very, very successful semester. I'm really proud of all the hard work that my team and all of our representatives in our General Assembly have been putting in to make all of this happen. We've been hosting events throughout the semester, but specifically our end of semester programming really went really, really well. We had holiday themed crafting, our Barbenheimer marathon, and we also collaborated a lot with the Office of Spartan Experiences and the Countdown to Closeout event series. All these events went really, really well, and we have a lot planned for the spring, including another movie marathon. Those of you who are big Hunger Games fans, keep your eyes out for that. More craft events, and even hosting a regional leadership summit. These things I also mentioned don't highlight all the events that our hall governments and caucuses have put on this semester and will be putting on next semester as well, hosting a huge variety of events in and around our residence halls. And we would not be nearly as effective in reaching our students without the work that they put in every week here. Another update I'm happy to share is related to our work in increasing contraceptive access and awareness on campus. We're currently working on some programming around Safer Sex Week for the spring, and are working with a few partners of ours to help make this happen. I think this is a really very relevant issue for many of our students, so we really just want to help raise awareness and help Spartans build good, healthy habits related to this. And in addition to this, we've been trying to expand emergency contraceptive access as well. I want to commend the Gender and Sexuality Campus Center for offering this service currently, and we're working to hopefully see this expanded. There are talks going on about this currently, and I'm hoping that by the time spring rolls around, I'll have some more concrete things to share on that. So I would also like to share some cautiously hopeful attitudes students have around our new incoming leadership. President-elect Guskowitz, we look forward to seeing what you bring to our university, and I want to formally welcome you to the Spartan family. In addition, Coach Smith, I'd like to extend this to you as well. I look forward to seeing what you'll do with our team and also welcome you to our family. To close out my remarks today, I just wanted to hit on again student voices. Some of my liaisons have already spoken on this, so I'll keep it somewhat brief. But students need to feel heard and they need to feel listened to, especially in this chaotic world that we've been living in, both on campus and around the world. We've heard many other voices here today and more in previous meetings and other settings around campus. We've spoken in the past and previously about ways that this board and this university can increase that they're doing this, and I really hope that we can see this come to fruition. One of the best ways you can support our students is to listen and let us be heard. And with that, that concludes my remarks. I hope everybody has a wonderful winter break.
Thank you so much, Taylor. The last speaker for our student liaisons would be Maddie Dallas.
Hello, everyone, and happy almost winter break. As I'm sure like many of you, I'm ready for a nice long break that allows me to have a lot more free time and not have to deal with some of the stress that comes with the semester. With this free time, I'm excited to be able to continue working on some of the projects I mentioned in the last Board of Trustees meeting. Starting off, I've been working on developing and creating a plan of action to begin the early stages of a leadership initiative in which student leaders will be matched with qualified mentors who have some sort of affiliation with Michigan State University. As I've mentioned before, when first bringing up this idea, student leaders are under a great deal of stress, not only just regarding the general everyday life of being a student, but also the stress that comes with having to be the shoulders in which the community they represent sits on. I've started talking with Trustee T-Bay about this initiative and plan in the next steps to loop in the student life discrimination that has become more and more prevalent on campus. While this was a topic I've been planning to bring up anyways, in light of recent events on campus, I hope everyone really truly understands the importance in which this topic holds. MSU has multiple different methods in which students can be protected regarding issues like this, but it can be extremely hard to navigate for students. Through conversations with different students around campus, I've come to find out that students don't know where to report what. I'm currently in the beginning stages of brainstorming new ways to help with accessibility of OIE and ADP to better ensure that students feel like they get the support they deserve. Going off of this, students not only deserve to feel supported and protected on campus, but off campus as well. In the aftermath of the pandemic and how online and hybrid classes continue to be a part of the education system as a whole now, there should be a better understanding of media accountability, especially within registered student organizations. RSOs are being funded through the university and should be held to the same standards that any other individual at MSU is. At no point in time should students ever be silenced in the way they choose to use their voice, but there is a line between advocacy and causing emotional discomfort for different communities on campus. I am eager to continue thinking about and working with other people to think through different ideas that could help decrease issues regarding social media usage and exploitation. At Michigan State, we are so lucky to have such an outspoken and driven student body that isn't afraid to advocate for themselves in times where they feel as though they must. Recently, there have been a lot of issues with students feeling though their thoughts and opinions aren't heard. Students seem to be ready to come forward and start the conversation, and I think we need to focus more on what we can be doing to help give students the space to do so. Going into the next semester, my hope is to start up town halls or group thinking sessions that are advertised and open to all Michigan State students, as a chance to come speak with me as the at-large student liaison, and hopefully some of you as well, as MSU admins and faculty, in hopes that it can better open the line of communication between students and the Board of Trustees. I'm hopeful that in the next semester, we will be able to make many positive changes that can better help the student body as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Thank you, Maddie. Appreciate your comments. You all have a wonderful break. Get some rest. And we finally have our last report from faculty liaison and faculty senate, chairpersons of the steering committee. I'm sorry. Jack Lipton, chairperson of the steering committee and faculty senate.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Great, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm pleased to be with you on this monumental day. The Faculty Senate joined sister survivors and others in calling for the board to waive privilege on the Nassar documents more than 4 years ago in November 2019. And I thank the board for authorizing their release today. It's long overdue. Regarding a meeting with President-elect Guskowitz, I'm happy to share that the at-large faculty senators had a very encouraging meeting with President-elect Kevin Guskowitz on Monday. He shared his desire to meet with faculty, staff, and student leaders, clearly delineate roles and responsibilities, and maintain mutual respect as we work to solve the challenges we have faced and advance our standing as a leading public institution. He acknowledged the recent challenges of MSU and asked for our help in overcoming them. As we did with the current and prior administration, we committed to working on a myriad of priorities to advance our academic reputation. As we did with the last two administrations, we shared the need for equity in career development across all faculty groups, be they tenure system, continuing system, health programs, or fixed term. As we did with President Stanley and Woodruff, we shared that MSU's benefits and compensation falls into the bottom quartile of Big Ten universities, and that changes are needed if we are to be competitive in retention and recruitment. These are not new priorities. Regardless, we remain hopeful that the next time the administration will be allowed to prioritize the needs of all MSU faculty and the broader MSU community. I want to talk a little bit about some governance commitments that the board has made. The board recently informed faculty leaders that the trustees and President-elect Guskowitz had each co-signed a document outlining principles for governing the university and delineating which responsibilities belong to whom. This is a welcome development, and it goes a long way toward fulfilling the Faculty Senate's requests that the board engage in professional development. Nonetheless, it should be noted that the board should always have been abiding by these principles, regardless of who the president is. I appreciate Dr. Vassar's assurance to faculty liaisons at a meeting yesterday that the board does not intend to wait until Dr. Guskowitz's arrival in March to begin implementing these standards. With respect to our work with respect to the Higher Learning Commission, when I last addressed the board in October, I shared that the Faculty Senate had filed a complaint with the Higher Learning Commission, MSU's accrediting body, alleging that certain actions by the board's chairperson violated HLC criteria. Specifically, the complaint cited two portions of Criterion 2, that, quote, the governing board preserves its independence from undue influence on the part of donors, elected officials, ownership interests, or other external parties, and that, quote, governing board delegates day-to-day management of the institution to the institution's administration and expects the institution's faculty to oversee academic matters. On November 20th, the Higher Learning Commission responded, determining that the complaint, quote, raises potential concerns regarding the institution's compliance with the criteria for accreditation and indicated that it would conduct a further review of the institution. The faculty look forward to the findings of that review and of the several other investigations that are currently underway. With respect to board meetings and discourse, unlike most meetings of this body, today's session is virtual. Let's be clear. We are on Zoom today because 8 officials who were elected statewide to oversee this institution were unable or unwilling to maintain basic order in the room on October 27th. Everyone who signs up to address the board is, of course, free to share their views. No one is entitled to interrupt others, let alone shout at or belittle them. No one, regardless of what position they are taking on what issue. This includes specific members of the board when working in meetings with faculty. Those at the board table oversee a $4 billion budget but were unprepared to manage a meeting for just a few hours. Time limits were ignored. Members of the audience conducted a vote on whether to allow the chairperson's husband to speak despite not signing up to do so, and the board secretary permitted it. Trustee Deno put forth a resolution to release the Nassar documents when he knew it was out of order. That complete dysfunction and the virtual meeting it resulted in are testaments to the entitlement, lack of leadership, and theatrics that permeate the board. Such behaviors exemplify an uncurious and closed-minded approach that is anathema to a healthy university culture. In a statement to the media about that chaos, I said that Chairperson Vassar allowed the mob to rule the room. My goal was to support Trustee Brianna Scott in her courageous attempt to hold the chairperson accountable. A complaint to the Office of Institutional Equity was filed against me as a result of the use of the word mob. And I have heard from some members of our community who felt that the word mob was racially loaded. While I was not referring to members of any specific racial or ethnic groups, I recognize that the impact of my statement on some Spartans was real, and I apologize. I will certainly be more careful with my words in the future. Let me state unequivocally that Black and Arab students, as well as students of all races and ethnicities, belong at Michigan State University and deserve to feel welcome here. Last night, I joined leadership from the Black Faculty, Staff, and Administrators Association for a valuable dialogue on my comments and how they were received. I left with a better understanding of how my statements made others feel, and I hope that they left with a better understanding of the concern I was trying to express. Nobody has the right to interrupt others during these meetings. I appreciate the BFSAA's time and willingness to engage with me on this topic. I really enjoyed the exchange. But let's be clear, this is a university. The universities exist to allow us to experience and participate in discourse. Let's demonstrate that we can all be in the same room, take turns talking, and speak our truths respectively. We can disagree without ascribing motives to others. While Trustee Deno feels it appropriate to call me an anti-Arab or anti-Black racist, I don't think that our disagreements make him anti-Semitic. We simply disagree. I hope that we can focus on ideas instead of personalities in the future. To the public attending or participating in board meetings, show the respect you expect of others when you speak. No one is trying to silence anyone. Let's just take turns talking. To the wider community, sometimes you might hear an opinion or an assertion that you don't agree with. I heard plenty today, including untrue suggestions that I somehow tried to stop the presidential search, that I'm a racist, that I, quote, criminalize students, that the complaint filed with the Higher Learning Commission was mine and not the Faculty Senate's, and that I'm trying to hurt the chairperson rather than keep the board accountable. But universities allow inquiry, discourse, and free speech. We should all respect it. To certain members of the board, please manage your meetings, stay in your lane, and please end your coordinated, pervasive, and damaging retaliatory behaviors against your trustee colleagues, against members of the administration, and against faculty members now before our new president is seated. Thank you.
As we reach the end of another eventful year here at Michigan State University, it is fitting to pause and reflect on how we have survived and thrived and have moved our university forward in the midst of protracted, compounded traumas. Our university community has witnessed numerous milestones and achievements that we hold dear while battling all kinds of violence and turmoil. Each accomplishment is a testament to our collective commitment and our spirit. The one big accomplishment that I'd like to address is the hiring of a new president, Kevin Guskowitz. His acceptance of this crucial role marks a significant moment in our esteemed institution's journey. We look forward to working closely with him, bolstered by our steadfast dedication to shared governance. On that note, each trustee recently underscored their commitments to shared governance in a communication to our student and faculty liaisons. The letter highlighted 8 fundamental principles guiding our mission to create an environment of collaboration, respect, and excellence. These principles reinforce our confidence in Dr. Gutzkowitz's leadership as we commence this new chapter in MSU's history. As trustees, we will continue to serve as both resources and advisors to the president, ensuring our strategic goals are pursued with precision and purpose. I am optimistic about our future as we work towards realizing our 2030 strategic goals. We're putting the past behind us. Today and moving forward, it is vital that we remain focused on doing what is best for our student body, what's best for our faculty, what's best for our staff, our alum, and the families that bring and send their children to MSU. We want to make sure that they are safe, advocate for every opportunity for them to succeed. This is the way we heal. Speaking of healing, I am so proud to be a part of this board on this historic day. We are sorry for all the hurt and pain that survivors have experienced and continue to experience. For some, the decision made today is welcome news, but we also know that revisiting this investigation will be painful for many. And we want to remind the survivors of the MSU Healing Assistance Fund. They should need it. You should use it. I want also to remind everyone that I remain steadfast to accountability and transparency. Today, we take a bold step toward a bright green future of truth, and I want to make sure we see the process through. Thank you for your steadfast commitment as well to advocacy and activism. Survivors, you have won this day for so many who are here and for those who could not be. The Jones Day report. I was confident the Jones Day investigation would exonerate the board. I was hypervigilant as chair of the board to ensure that we did not receive or discuss details of the Tucker investigation and thus never received the name of the claimant before it was published. Since we never knew the name, we could not have been the source of the leak. We've also been working actively to improve our OIE and Title IX processes, and it is paramount to safeguard the independence of these investigations by not reviewing or discussing the details of an investigation before it is concluded. We will continue to ensure that the board protects the integrity of our Title IX processes moving forward. Finally, on a personal note, I was gratified that Jones Day not only found that I was not involved in any leak, but it fully exonerated me. We are moving forward in a spirit of collaboration, accountability, and transparency. I want to continue that spirit, even as I put that spurious allegation behind me. Fall grads, it is with immense pride that we celebrate the achievements of our fall graduates. I extend my warmest congratulations to them and their families as we continue to honor their accomplishments and their engagement during this commencement this afternoon and tomorrow. It is with privilege to already address some of our students at a special ceremony for our exceptional Black student graduates. Moments like these are poignant reminders of the diverse and remarkable talent that defines our university community. We also honored the Board of Trustees Scholarship Award recipients for fall semester 2023. They should be on your screen at this time, are they? Okay.
Yes.
Conclusion. Finally, today I wear my mom in my ears. You can see how lovely she is. When reflecting on this year we've experienced together, I'm reminded of her lessons. Her words come to me every day. I feel her every time I notice my brow furrowing in concentration. I look up and I look like her. Or when strangers speak to me freely, even when I don't feel friendly. She was lovely in every way. I would not be here today without her. Robin would not allow me to quit anything ever in life. She would not allow it. You started it, you finish it. I had a year full of dread in track because a whole season running in the hot sun and I hate to run because she said, you started it, you can't quit. So I persist on this board. After this year of life-altering traumas, I'm committed to enacting justice in this sphere of influence that I've been granted. It's a privilege. Justice was my mother's biggest lesson to me. I'm committed to her legacy that lives through her children, and I'm committed to living out her legacy here at MSU. I eagerly anticipate the bright green future of MSU. We are indeed on the right track. I assure you that I am confident that many celebrations and proud moments await us. You know my regular mantra, rest, please get some rest. Come back refreshed, renewed, and ready for a revival in 2024. I'll see you next year. Go green.
Thank you, Chair Vassar. We'll next move through other trustee comments, starting with Vice Chair Kelly.
I want to welcome President-elect Kevin Guskowitz and wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Vice Chair Kelly. Trustee Byram.
Thank you. As faculty liaison, I'd like to congratulate Dr. Teresa Maston on her selection as the next Vice Provost and Associate Vice President for Faculty and Academic Staff Affairs. To echo Interim Provost Yaitzko, I'm confident she will do a wonderful job advancing our strategic priority of faculty and academic staff success. And I'd like to thank Dr. Ann Austin for all of the great work she did in the interim and wish her the best as she returns to her faculty responsibilities. And speaking of faculty success, it was wonderful to attend the reception honoring the inaugural 1855 professorship recipients alongside Trustee Scott earlier this month. These professors were selected for their contributions to DEI-related scholarship, and I very much enjoyed learning about the transformative impact they are making on the underrepresented communities on campus and beyond. Finally, as some of you know, I'm passionate about sustainability. So like Interim President Woodruff, I was excited to see MSU included in the Princeton Review's list of the top 50 green colleges. I'd like to extend my congratulations to the fall graduates, and I'd like to extend happy holidays to each and every one. As you enter winter break, please enjoy your rest. It's my hope that 2024 will bring a path of healing for the sister survivors. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Byram. Trustee Deno.
Hello. I have no prepared remarks, and I'll be quick. I was actually really looking forward to this meeting being on Zoom so I could be at home in my pajamas. But talked to Dr. Rima, and she convinced me to come to the Student Services building so I could be here with our students, with my fellow Arab Americans, with student leaders, with Posse, with sister survivors, and I just really, I just want to do a quick 360 here if I can, or 180 at least. I really appreciate all your energy. I appreciate learning from you. I want to apologize for the hurt this university and this administration has caused. I hope you consider me an ally. I'm trying. I probably found out about the opening of Berkey Hall the same time as you. The tuition plan of something like $60,000 or $64,000 free tuition. If you if you make $64,000 or less, my wife knew about that before I did. So I just want to let you know that I'm excited about President Guskowitz. I've had some great preliminary conversations with him, and I look forward to continuing to working with you and learning from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Deno. Trustee Connecticut Jefferson doesn't have comments this morning. Trustee Pierce.
Thank you. Sorry that I'm not on video. I'm definitely under the weather, but there was a lot of conversation during the comments about inclusion and equity, and I wanted to actually take a moment to congratulate the Office of Institutional Diversity and Inclusion, because last month they launched the DEI scorecard. We have to date over nearly 300 action items and organizational changes that are going to be tracked and their progress reported with the DEI scorecard. I also want to recognize those faculty and the staff who double down on supporting the success of our students and reducing historic opportunity gaps through our community building. SVP Venny Gore and Dr. Megan Kozar, thank you, and all of your colleagues for the work that you're doing on the Inclusive Campus Initiative. We have lots of work to do. We're not done, but we are committed to bring equity and a welcome to all to this campus. Everyone, whatever you celebrate, have a good one, get some rest, enjoy the holidays.
Thank you, Trustee Pierce. Trustee Scott.
Thank you. As this year draws to a close, I'm filled with enthusiasm for the bright future that lies ahead for MSU and the Spartan community. And I'm enthusiastic and excited to welcome Dr. Guskowitz. I am super excited that he will be our next president. His leadership and promises to help be a guiding force in our journey forward are remarkable, and we are so elated to have someone of this caliber joining us at MSU. We're committed to collaborating with him and to elevate MSU to new heights. I'd like to also thank our interim president, Teresa Woodruff, for her leadership throughout this year. Her stewardship has been instrumental in laying the foundation during challenging times and guiding our university with resilience and vision. As Trustee Byron mentioned, we had the pleasure to attend the 1855 cohort reception hosted by the provost. It was an honor to recognize the 7 1855 professorship recipients, and I'm looking forward to hearing from them further. I did kind of put Dr. Doug Gage on the spot and asked whether or not, and Thomas Yaitsko, whether they could actually come to one of our board meetings in person to talk to us about the great research that they're doing, because all of them are such interesting projects. And so I do hope that in the coming year, we get to hear from each of them at some point. I'm also excited to witness the fall 2023 commencement today and tomorrow as our MSU graduates embark on a new chapter. And last week, I was honored to congratulate our new graduates at the Black Grad Celebration event. This event was significant because it recognized the achievements of our Black Spartans, and it fostered a sense of community and celebrated individual successes in completing undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral law degrees. Congratulations to all of our graduates. We are so proud of you. Their future history makers. Another memorable occasion for me was having the opportunity to be at the unveiling of the Dolores Wharton portrait at Cowles House in early November, and sharing and hearing about the legacy Mrs. Wharton has created at this university and beyond. I am elated that I had an opportunity to speak and to meet her son. That was a wonderful occasion, and I think that everyone that was there felt the same. Lastly, this year we have visited many areas on our campus, and recently, Trustee TV and I had the opportunity to take a tour of the MSU College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. On this tour, we explored the greenhouses, the School of Packaging, and the dairy farm, where I had the unique opportunity to feed calves. And mine got done with their bottles first. I was a good bottle feeder. Anyway, tours like this offer important insights into MSU's diverse areas of study and research, and highlight the depth of MSU's commitment to agriculture and natural sciences. I thank all of those who spoke on my behalf as well today. I don't expect and did not expect people to put themselves out. I know everybody's working and have other things to do, especially on Fridays, but the outpouring of support today meant a lot to me. And I'd also like to thank those that did not come on today, but that have reached out to me with cards, flowers, with phone calls, with emails all across campus. And actually, I would say the country, because I've heard from some of our alumni over in Europe even. You all have been an inspiration to me, and I